you
Refresh
streaming on
your
your
page.
channel? You aren't, you little idiot.
No, I just checked. It's not streaming over there. Refresh your page, Barge.
Kyle, have you failed?
Truly, you will be put in the trash compactor at some point.
Yeah, but it says it's making a connection to something.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Discord is really being interesting today.
I really can barely hear. I can mostly hear Arch, but
looks like Kibbs
you
was
people
right.
over the pond.
This is my channel now.
Everybody's coming across clearly for me, but my own ping is fluctuating wildly.
Good.
I can hear everyone just fine.
God is mad because you didn't suck his cock enough. Whoops.
You're all beep booping for me.
Be quiet, Disco. This is not about you anymore. Now.
Shut up, Kyle.
Shut
Shut up.
Dinko mad.
Shut up.
My little Dinko.
Right.
Less Kyle noises.
Hello, all you happy little people. Today will be primarily a planning session. Kyle has failed to bring up the program because
I'm actually going
he's
to open
a
the
Kyle.
map. The program's not going to serve us any value. But the map, on the other hand, will be a good plan for strategically conquering KISLEV.
Yes, we're focusing on the one little area, Zavastra.
Yes, which is totally part of KISLEV. But not for
Well, it
much
is.
longer. Your website. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, make it a full page. Now, exit the full page. Exit the full page. Now, good. Go over there and become full screen.
Well, should we first explain why we're taking this break?
Well, it's because Kyle is weak and is unable to juggle his holiday obligations with playing once a week.
Yes.
Right.
I've got
Understood.
family obligations. Family
For how long?
obligations, but only until the end of December. And then January, the first weekend, if you forgot. First weekend of January, which is... Hold on. Let's look at the calendar so we can reaffirm together when it restarts.
That's 2 months. What are you doing with your family for 2 months?
I have a lot of stuff I need to do. Not just with family. But also with corporation stuff. Let's see. Saturday, Sunday 2nd.
I might be back from Scotland then.
You're going to Scotland?
Assuming we're allowed to cross the border.
Are you just going for vacation, or?
Well, I'll be
Bring
going
your
on-
laptop,
She's
Dingo.
theoretically Scottish. You can tell by the fact that she can't speak English properly. Idiot.
What? I can't fucking tell. It all just sounds like Brit Bonger to me.
Wheesh.
Brit Bonger. God.
There you go. She's speaking foreign again.
See,
You just need
Disco's...
to ask her to say something like kitty. And she fucks up the T's.
Yeah.
Kitty.
Dinko is from a province called Welsh, or Wales. It's in Scotland.
Welsh.
Yeah.
Do me a
Oh,
favor
yeah, this is
and
Scotland.
just remove
He's like,
Kyle from the whole server.
Anytime I think of Welsh, I just think of that one YouTube clip of that news anchor saying the name of that one city. You know the one.
Yes. Right, well, okay. Just to clarify, the RP will be on break for the next 2 months, roughly, because of color reasons. And then we will resume the first weekend of January, the 2nd, presuming Disco won't ruin everything.
Disco's a
I
killer of
should be
RPs.
back by the evening.
Disco
There you
murderer.
go.
Assuming I don't get stuck in traffic. In which case, there'll just be sad noises.
Assuming you're even allowed to leave England in the first place.
Look, there are plenty of places where the road crosses the border. They can't stand on all of them.
Well, you say that.
They'll be too busy chasing
So today
people
will
on
be
Twitter,
primarily
okay?
a planning episode to figure out what we're going to do when everybody gets back, because we have some ambitious plans and lots of characters to look at and conspire with and against.
Now, bear in mind, we'll have to redo all of this come next 2nd. A little bit
Why?
before. We'll do it unaired, though.
Nah, Hans will write it down. He's quite good at that. I'll
Hold on,
forget it,
hold on.
but Hans will
So-
write it down.
You guys were talking about possibly switching programs. Are we still doing that, or no?
Yes, I will be testing out some stuff over the period. I was looking at Tailspire, but the thing with Tailspire is everybody needs to buy it, which is a little bit of a hassle. So we'll
Yeah.
probably use Forge, because that way I can use my license for everybody else.
Right.
And what's the difference between Forge and this?
Or Foundry, excuse me. Well, the difference, we hope, Dev, is that Foundry will work for Kyle.
It's a good start.
I also remember right, Foundry has map making tools, something like that.
No, Foundry has no map making tools, so I'm going to have to use another software to make maps, which is
Oh.
inconvenient.
It might be
Well,
It
easier
does
to
have some
just
other
remove
nice
the
little
Kyle.
beep boops as well.
Well, the thing is, if Kyle can get it working on his laptop, why don't we just keep doing that?
Because it's a hassle, and Kyle cannot be trusted.
But it's only a hassle for him, not for the rest of us.
That's
Dev,
true.
do I need to
But Kyle has an
elaborate?
ability to make his hassle for everyone else.
It's true.
But still, it's an option if nothing else works out, I guess.
Right.
By and large, Foundry should function in much the same way. It has the Warhammer Fantasy rules on it, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Chat says Foundry does have one, though. I don't know what, but they have.
What?
Don't know. I'm just reading chat.
I'm assuming map making tools. I don't know.
It does not have map making tools. Like, it has a
But-
map import system. Like, you can import stuff.
So you can like draw a map somewhere else and then put it in as an image.
Yes.
That's not so bad. You can literally just make a map in Fantasy Grounds and take a screenshot of it. and then import it.
Potentially, but that'd be even more of a bother.
Yeah. Can you roll physical dice with it though, like in Fantasy Grounds?
Kind of.
Does it have the rolly?
It has close enough. See, and that's kind of why Tailspire could be fun, because those are actual full-on 3D dice, which would be hilarious, but
Well,
Again-
we got tabletop simulator for that as well. I was able to throw the dice right off the table with that.
yes, problem with Tabletop Simulator is the ping is absolutely awful. But it should still be relatively functional. For what we need it to be. We might also have to do completely different things as well. Most of the systems should be compatible, though, but we'll give it a try and we'll see how it works out. If it turns out to be more of a bother than it's worth, then we'll have Kyle set up his two things.
Yep.
So, with the administrative nonsense out of the way, why do you want to conquer KISLEV? It's pretty cold and shit in many ways.
Alright, ignoring Arch and moving on to more pressing matters, Hans, present your little strategy. Because you had an idea that you wanted to bring up to people.
The initial one, the one we talked about a little bit earlier today.
The one we talked about today on the previous stream.
Basically, my idea is, okay, look, we're gonna go after Ludmilla because she has the hot goods. But we still have the third super awesome crate. Presumably the most awesome one because it also had overt magic on top of the warding that it had. So my idea was, screw over the Ataman as well. Basically implicate Ludmilla, and then implicate the Ataman, and then we can go to notes. What was this guy's name again? Anatoly. And we can basically tell him, yo, hey, the Ataman is basically the reason this happened.
Now, here's where I'm going to interject with this plan, because we recently had this conversation. By making the Ataman, blaming the Ataman as well, what that's going to do is that's going to, because the Tsarina handpicked him and knows him and trusts him, she's going to might launch an investigation. He also has access to more powerful friends than Ludmilla does. If we implicate just Ludmilla, she's a criminal. She's already disliked. They're not going to give her the benefit of the doubt. They're not going to give her any secondary things. She has no allies, in that regard. And so
Here's
that's honestly
basically
where I lean. I lean that that's a bad idea, and that overcomplicates the plan, because the plan is already complicated.
my idea basically for implicating him is to basically just cause some friction, or some more important friction between the Empire and Kislev. Because of just exactly that reason. He
Yeah,
was
but
handpicked.
she'll just disavow him anyways if he did.
I thought we were gonna try and hide her, but blame her organization so that she,
Yeah.
we
If
still
that
use
can
her
happen,
contact.
that's nice. It's just the issue is we kind of need a fall person for this.
We
Yeah,
have
her
a fall person.
organization.
Yeah, we do.
There's loads of people in her organization.
The thing is, it's a believable enough story, Hands, in the sense that this group is a pirate group. They go around stealing stuff. They so happen to steal one of these, very precious items. Happens. They'll take the fall for it. They don't need a single figurehead. And even so, if, let's say, Ludmilla, whatever, escapes capture or whatever, who knows? We'll have her hidden. But
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
that's
if
a
we can get her
tertiary
out,
objective.
that's fine.
If we can't, we can't. But we'll try to.
Oh, no, that's what I was getting at. Like, if we can,
Yes, I
great.
know,
If not,
but-
oh well.
Stop interjecting. That is the general idea. So I think we're all kind of in agreement that that's kind of the end goal we want. We want to throw Ludmilla's organization onto the bus. We kind of want to capture Ludmilla for the more so the meme, but also because out of
The
she has,
connections.
yes, Sans. She has connections and other things of that nature. So she has some actual value, though the added heat probably isn't totally worth it. But if we want to capture it, we can capture. Now the real question is, how do we begin to implicate? Now we already know
No,
they
the thing
possess the
is,
sword. What?
I'm just wondering, like, there's been a couple of her guards that have seen us. Should we maybe kidnap them as well? And
have no-
then
Go ahead.
should we maybe kidnap them as well? And because most of her organization hasn't seen us, so therefore can't just be like, oh, there were these weird rat people who kind of did the stealing.
Here's what I would say to that. Considering rats are kind of racist in this regard, or speciesist, I guess would be more accurate. Have you been actively keeping track? Because I know I haven't been keeping track of which specific guard has seen us and which one hasn't.
Yeah, my character hasn't. And only the two of us have gone to those meetings. It's gonna
Like
be
Nara will remember
security
Milla because
risk.
she's the boss.
Like, yes, they're gonna be aware that there's, more potential stuff, but we'll have to wait and see.
Fair enough. But yeah, I don't think it's a particularly good idea to try and get more friction between the Empire and here, like when this is where our literal base is. Because if we've got more like combat happening on top of us, we're more likely to be found.
Mm-hmm. So the next
It would be better
question,
for them to think that some criminal just,
yeah, nicked
happened
it.
across it. They get it back. They have somebody to blame. And, the person that we ask to help us owes us because they get a reward.
Now we need.
Yeah, I agree with Discordia on that.
Okay. Now we need to devise a plan because the guy we need to approach, the Empire wannabe dude,
Anatoly.
the wannabe dude, we need to figure out a way to approach him. So we need to stalk him, isolate him, confront him, have a conversation about this, and be like, hey, we want these things. But we'll need to show something of value, proof. And I think I know what we could show as proof as well. We could use that additional chest we have. Empty it, of course, of any valuable items. and then just simply be like, look, this is one of the chests. Maybe it's got one of these seals. We'll have to investigate the chest when we play the game next. But, you know, we'll look and see if it's got one of the seals or one of the items and things of that nature, and we'll do that. And then we'll try to endear him that way. And be like, oh, we can get you untold amounts of power. Power beyond your wildest dreams. Humans are greedy by their nature. And he is a low-born noble who very much wants power. So honestly, offering him, you know, a little bit of treat, a reward, with a promise of more, will be easy enough to endear him to our side.
I would say that we should frame it in the way of the Empire will basically look favorably upon this.
Yeah, you'll be considered a hero by the Emperor himself, no less.
I mean, probably considering how valuable this stuff is.
No, we should also pitch it in a way that we are fond of the Empire. We too like the Empire. We too are fans, you know? We'd love to see KISLEV's annexation and the Empire grow stronger. It's mutually beneficial. And basically just start, you know, worming into his ambition there. Playing that up.
Furry we may be, yes, but beneath our furrowed chest beats Empire hearts squeak.
We are loyal to the Emperor, Carl.
In that regard, honestly, we should have stolen the Sigmarite hammers so we could wear them when we go up to the meeting.
That will be a difficult sell, but perhaps.
He may not bite necessarily, but honestly, it's fluff to endear him to the idea, nonetheless. To
Honestly, he
broaden
doesn't
his
even necessarily have to
imagination.
believe us. He just has to believe that they have this stuff.
Yes.
And just
So-
imagine Kyle showing up in like, you know, I love the Empire t-shirt or something.
Yeah, pretty much, basically. Like, I heart Empire, I heart Carl France. You know, long, you know, Galmaraz is based. Blah, blah, blah. The usual cringy Warhammer propaganda nonsense.
It's like, I found merch.
It might not be a necessarily terrible idea to use a little bit of Empire lingo. Perhaps even dedicate a little bit of time to learning the Empire's tongue.
That
Like
took
steel.
months last time.
That took months for you. I'm far more intelligent than your puny brain, and you don't
Yes,
get
It
but
to
still takes months.
this. It will.
Well, okay. For these 2 months that we're going to be gone, is that going to constitute a time skip?
It
Uh,
could be if you.
We have to specify that we want it to be. And if that's the case,
Yes.
then we need to specify other things. Now, if we do specify before anyone says further, that will constitute that things will be happening in those 2 months interim. An investigation, no doubt, will be
I
launched.
think it's probably better not to.
Yeah.
Because that all that does is give our potential enemies a chance to start moving.
Pretty much. Now, we don't have access to the Rune Fang, so we can't determine anything further about it. But when we talk to the little lad, we can ask about it. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm very rusty when it comes to Warhammer Fantasy. I haven't read one of the books in, like, I don't know, 6 years, maybe? But, like, maybe 5? But the Rune Fangs, every count, you said in the previous stream, every county dude has them, every count. Elector count.
Every elector count has
So
a
this
rune
one
fang.
belongs to who? Did we remember who?
I don't know. This one is just like a rune fang. They're not necessarily. If I remember it, it's
I'm
not
asking
necessarily.
Arch.
There are a set number of rune fangs. They were intended to be one for each of the tribal leaders when they were originally forged, and they were held by the elector counts. However, not all of the elector counts exist anymore, which means that there are rune fangs in the Imperial Armory. This is one of those. So this is not a rune fang belonging to any of the specific current elector counts. It is one taken from the Empire's armory.
Okay. So it doesn't have a particular person it belongs to.
No. You could potentially identify it if you were an expert in this kind of thing, since they do have distinguishing features,
But we're
but
not.
you would not have the expertise at the moment.
Yes. But our little Empire Reich spiel friend might.
Possibly, but this is less like, how do I put it?
It's not common knowledge.
It is both common knowledge and not. Like, the fact that there are rune fangs and there's 12 of them and that there are differences amongst the rune fangs, that is common knowledge. But the differences are the kind of things like an expert jeweler would be able to tell apart two different grade of diamonds. It has to do with the smithing process and the peculiarities of the blades, only visible to those who are real experts in the matter, and so on.
Okay, interesting to know. That doesn't quite benefit us in that circumstance, but it is good to know. So yeah, we got the blade of root. Well, specifically Ludmilla is holding on to that, and that is a good thing because we don't want to be holding on to that. So now we just need to pin it on them. That's not hard. The big problem here is gonna be just getting the simp on our side. Because we need to endear him, but that's about it.
Well,
Yeah, the issue is we never talked to him before this point, so his specific personality beyond Love's Empire is kind of unknown.
that is true.
Oh, I suppose there's one other thing we know from the downtime when we were learning the language. He's not necessarily the best friend of the Outerman.
You did catch him spreading doubts about the Ataman previously, yes?
Okay. I mean, beyond that, we should have a contingency plan should things fall south. What
Contingency
happens?
plans are often wise.
Yes. So we'll need a plan, a plan of action. We'll need to inform the Warren what happens if and when things go south. Because if things go south, there should be two contingency plans, I think. First contingency plan is to lock down the Warren and simply just like hunker down. The second and worst contingency plan should be to evacuate the Warren. If we think that there's going to be a large scale inquisitorial investigation, we need to destroy the Warren and sabotage it and get the hell out of the Dodge, basically, because we can't risk that. We're better off relocating to one of the neighboring towns like Osel or Slavenskaya or something like that, or maybe even further up the river. But we can't be here if things really head south.
No confidence in holding the Warren in a siege scenario, eh?
No. Not if
we don't
with
really
the
have the
Empire's wrath
troops.
coming down, along with KISLEVite forces as well.
No,
You
not
would
even
be
that.
somewhat outnumbered.
Like, our troops aren't even trained, and they don't even have the officers or standards or musicians to keep them in the fight if we need them to fight.
Yes. So what we should definitely do as well is we'll need to scout out a new Plan B Warren in case time comes, and to basically inform any of our quote-unquote captains or whatever the plan, so that way we can have an organized, in the best way for as far as Skaven is concerned, an organized retreat where our resources can be mostly salvaged. I imagine we'll lose some resources in the process, but it's better to spare some than to lose everything. Don't think anybody's particularly against a contingency plan, I just hope. Doesn't seem like
Against a contingency? No, it's just, well, location.
Yes, which again will have to be scouted. Will have to be scouted. I honestly lean towards still sticking to KISLEVite provinces because KISLEVites, generally on the southern side of the border, not super well defended territories. the minor villages, things of that nature. But we'll have to see in that regard. Beyond that, I think the that order of business is kind of more or less closed in terms of any sort of plans that I can think of that are needed. We have a contingency plan. We know who we need to contact. We know that we're going to be mostly working through human means, Anatoly, in order for the actual effort to be done. We'll just be merely leaking the information. Now, one thing that might pop up, and this is purely speculatory, this might cause Anatoly to doubt. You're like, well, what proof do you have, And that's the issue I think we're going to bump into. Do we have any proof? Is the box we possess, Arch, have anything on it?
It's one of the big boy crates. I would say that's most likely going to be evidence enough.
Okay.
It
And you're
would
writing this down,
be-
two hands, right?
Preferable to be able to open it to demonstrate exactly what is inside, but it is a very unusual box. It'd be a bit like finding one of those massive ass old school safes in a money transport. You've already knocked over the armored car, and inside of it is a huge ass safe. Security upon security.
Mm. The safe doesn't have a seal on it or a sigil.
No.
No identifying marks. Well, I mean, we can hold on to our safe in that case, hands, so we don't have to give that up.
That's what I was saying. It's worst case, potentially giving up that as evidence.
Maybe. I mean, worst case, we give up that. And again, we gain a more powerful ally. In the long run, we benefit far more. And this is not an uncommon practice for little squeaker sneakers to work with humans. We just have to hope that he can prove a valuable resource. So, honestly, we do want to do a little bit of digging on him, I guess, as well. But we don't have any human contact still, because we don't have any captives or people we can work with besides Ludmilla. Now, this does raise the thing. We could work with Ludmilla to be like, hey, we want to investigate this guy. But that might raise suspicion. You know what I mean?
You would like to investigate one of my primary competitors?
Pretty
How
much.
weird.
Very coincidental, and given the circumstances, you might say. Regrettable.
There may be the possibility to spot minor coinkydinks in that situation, yes.
I don't know about that. She might just be like, yes, this is strictly normal.
There are also, of course, other people. I mean, Ludmilla is the highest ranking member of the criminal organization in the local area, but criminals are known for occasionally being mildly dishonest with one another. If you could pay one enough, you may be able to avoid discovery.
True. A little bit of bribery, a little bit of coinage, often works wonders. As we've discussed several times, we're going to have to be
Maybe
working
finding
with
out if they
humans
have a
regularly.
family. A family?
A
Yes, there you go.
family?
A family?
Family?
A family. And threatening what horrible things might happen to the family if they betray your trust.
I think Gnarl will have some good intimidate for that. Write that down, Gnarl.
I do.
Write
Family.
down the plan to, threaten their families should they go against our way. We'll need to actually figure out where their families kind of live, though, in ballpark-wise. So that way we can actually
Oh.
get...
You
proper
keep
threat.
saying that word wrong. It's family now.
Family. Shame for you spray. It's making me think Shogun too, honestly. Family.
But
There
there
we
are
Just to make
definitely
sure,
ways to-
this is potentially using blackmail or kidnapping to set up the fall for one of Ludmilla's subordinates, or her specifically?
Basically, to buy their silence if we want to gain more information.
Yes, this would be an information gathering endeavor.
Yeah, it's not to bribe them into their own death. It's to bribe them into gathering more information on Ludmilla, so that way we can know a little bit more about her her compound. We need to have a better understanding of her compound, because if we want to capture her, we want to do it before, and we do want to maybe not. I don't know. It's gonna really. We're gonna have to play it by ear with how the other guy reacts on whether or not we should be like, hey, we want to take her alive. Like, he might not like that because they are competitors. So he might be like, I'd rather see her burn, you know?
Now, considering he's pro-Empire, and we're basically going to be telling him, yo, hey, she's the one who stole the stuff, I doubt he's
Yeah.
going to want her to be alive.
Yep. We'll just, we'll say that we had nothing to do with it. Like, as far as the actual raid on her compound is concerned, we want to be as far away from that as possible. So that way it'll just look like Ludmilla had escaped or evaded capture. Then we're going to want to have her lay low while we do other missions and quests for maybe about several odd months until, the situation calms down. She'll be a wanted fugitive in this region, but we can use her underground contacts to, and her information in her intel network to basically get us, footholds in other towns like Beckhofen and other places where she has, previous information or connections. She'll be basically a, what do you say? An intelligence reservoir. She'll be useful in that regard. And then we might even be able to turn her into an agent, though I'd wait till we break her, because we don't want her to just run. There'll be some torturing needed, Gnarl. Actually, who's our torture
I know.
expert? Is that Dev?
No, no one here has torture.
I think Gnarl was gonna pick it up.
Yeah, I would need to spend some gold to get someone to teach me, and then basically hope the intelligent roll succeeds.
I
'Cause
can't
if
believe
Gnarl
Dev haven't
can-
tortured anyone.
If Gnarl can get torture, he'd be good at it.
I mean, you could just try trial and error. She has plenty of fingers.
Well, the issue is, you need the actual skill for it to be good. Because the thing is, with my career path that I've chosen, I'm going to get 2 ticks of menacing, which gives me a plus 10% bonus to torture and intimidate skills.
See,
Not
the
a bad
primary
plan.
danger of torture is that you stand a greater chance of just killing the person. That's one point, rather than getting them to talk, which makes the entire endeavor somewhat pointless.
Which is why it's like, okay, if I can actually get the skill, I'd be fairly decent at it.
Plus, torture is a much wider field than merely the infliction of pain, yes. Strap them down, drip water on their heads. Lip, 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 lip.
Make
Just
them
leave it there
listen
for
to
a
terrible
while.
rap music.
Rap music, too much squeaking.
Rat music. Rat music. God, I hate you, Ketchup. I really do.
Its hands and suffer. Suffer!
He is a ketchup bottle, is he not? Stings, doesn't it?
Alright, so let me do a quick little just understanding recap here. So,
Okay.
Ludmilla Nizarov. The party wants to capture her and frame her organization in the city, at least, for the theft. Presumably also naming her as the head of the theft attempt, but have her escape some way.
Yes, at least
Well-
my idea was with
The thing is, let's backpedal on that just a quick sec, your hands. We have the opportunity to not necessarily name her as directly responsible, rather her organization being responsible, her goons.
Yeah,
Which-
because they don't necessarily know that she's head of the organization, the authorities or whatever.
the issue I would bring
And
up.
she's hardly gonna be like, "Wait, that's my organization."
Well,
like,
no,
when they've
it's-
just been pinned for this crime.
it's not her necessarily that I have an issue with that. It's okay. Let's say they take one of them alive. They're going to say, "I wasn't the one who ordered this. It was named Goss," and that just keep going up the chain until it gets to Ludmilla.
Yes, that's fine that they do that on their thing, but we don't necessarily have to be the ones to plant that.
Yeah, plus, they're a crime thing. Like, none of them are gonna take responsibility for it, and whether the authorities are gonna believe them when they keep pointing at someone else, like, wasn't us, it was someone else. Like, okay then.
Yes, especially because we intend to use Ludmilla further. So that's the only reason why I don't want to place direct blame on her, more so on the organization. Because placing blame on her, which I would like to have turned into an agent later on, would be a bit unfortunate. But the issue is, we can't really find a patsy or anything of like that nature, because, well, that would require Ludmilla to be conscious of this thing that is set up to ruin her life and her career. That
might be a big ask.
Like, so who can we frame for this incident?
What about,
maybe joking.
What
Oh,
about
boy.
the guy who I shot? We could frame him.
Finally put him down. Oh god, he's such a forgettable
He's the
character.
head
What's
of
his
the.
name? Vasily, that was his name, yeah.
Vasily. Yeah, we could frame him as the head of the organization. So we take her whole organization down and him. And he's like, no, it's probably the rat people. Like, oh, he's crazy too.
Oh, the rat people. Okay.
It's the rat people.
The issue, as a joke, that's great. The only issue I'd be, it's like, what if he rolls well enough to get one of the interrogators to actually believe him that there might be rat people?
Goddamn rat people.
Now, one thing to bear in mind, right? Ludmilla had a mage. So maybe some of her stuff she's wearing might be trackable. Because remember with Zephyr, he made items that were trackable.
Are you
I'm not
suggesting
saying we
that
skin her
strip
alive. I'm not saying we skin her alive, but I'm saying that maybe when we do the abduction, we should do a magic sweep. Just to make sure and be like, hey, anything clicking? Ding, ding, ding,
Oh,
ding.
that would have to be your character, and I guess
Sounds like-
Rattata technically can do it.
Yep, we both can, so we have double the
I was
chances of
gonna be
doing
like, I kidnap her, and I remove her clothes.
I remove her clothes and the sexy music starts playing.
The sexy rat music.
Yes, filled with lots of squeaky sounds. Now, in that regard, before we go too retarded, the whole abduction of Ludmilla and whatnot, is there anything else we want to salvage from her organization? Because the element of this organization will be rooted out with, I imagine, utmost, scrutiny. Will not be around.
Extreme prejudice.
Which will leave a power vacuum. Oh, you. Thirsty. Uh-oh, what about the Coca-Cola? The dark times. There it is. What do you think, Hans?
I think you probably put the Coke in the fridge.
No, Hans. In regards to what else? Should we try to mooch off or loot or mooch? Should we try to loot anything before, they get pilfered?
I'm sure we could get some minor goods compared to the 2 big ticket items she has on her. It's just one of those things, like, I don't know if it's we should or shouldn't take it, and like we actually see how much is there.
Well, we are Skavenses, and no one said a Skaven was a smart Skaven.
Actually, I think every Skaven ever said that they were a very smart Skaven.
This is an out-of-character thing. In character, of course, our Skavens are the smartest and brightest of the entire species, and maybe even, dare I say, the world.
There is obviously a potential complications with stealing things, namely that there will be things missing. And the stories of rats in the sewers might sound a lot more reasonable if they can point towards missing items.
The one thing I will say in regards to that is, just based on the talks we've had with Mila, she seems like the type of person to have a good itinerary of what she has.
Oh. She might even have some hidden items that even her organization isn't aware of that we could interrogate out of her, which I do think that interrogation skill will be useful, but honestly, once we capture her, you can get that skill later on, honestly, because it's not like she'll be going anywhere. Now, hands, notes, can I see them so far? We should run through the list of what we have down thus far before
Copy
progressing further.
pasta.
Yes, hands. Yes, perfect. Show me the goods. Oh no, I'm gonna sneeze. No! No! Okay, we're good. Okay, so number 1, set up Ludmilla. You misspelled it. It's Lewd.
No, that's actually the exact thing that he put for her name.
Unacceptable. Ludmilla. Organization in the city for the theft of the goods. Getting her would be nice, but not a deal breaker. Yes. Again, we don't want to risk if it comes down to, you know, make or break, and the warren's at stake. The warren takes precedence. We'll do our utmost, you know, to get her because she's a useful asset. But again, our skin is more valuable. And then you say potentially use blackmail or kidnapping to buy silence to have better knowledge of her organization. True, very good idea. Number 2, talk to Anatoly Jamil. Oh, what a lad, what a lad. And convince him that she has the goods. Box might be used as evidence. Not a bad idea. 3, Kibbs wants a backworn location.
Well, not that she has the goods,
Oh, I
that
meant
her
to take back up.
organization has the goods.
Yes.
We don't want to give him
actually,
her name.
edit that to say that the organization, because thing is, in 2 months' time, we might forget that. So it's all very good catch, Disco. We want to make sure it's worded correctly so that when we revisit the campaign, we should, number 1, touch base before the RP starts, maybe, you know, 30 minutes, an hour. Go over it beforehand, before the session, with the notes in hand.
Yep.
With the note in hands.
And
Note in hands.
Dev might be extremely useful for the abduction part. Dev, you're good at abducting women, right?
He does have a lot of practice.
It's like, I don't want to confirm this.
He briefly unmuted and then thought better of it.
He's like, actually, maybe
Actually, that's how I got my current girlfriend. It's like, God damn it, Dev.
not. God damn.
They're on to me.
He's like, listen, after you lock him in the basement
After
long enough,
Stockholm Syndrome kicked in, it was fine.
you know, it's consent, right? She likes it now. It's like, oh, Dev.
Actually, that might not be that far from the truth. I have heard some tales about how Dev's girlfriend has family in China who disapproves, so it might be disapproval because kidnapping.
Dev
I'd
has
disapprove
no
too.
comments. Like, Dev is fucking sweating right now. You know that scene where that one Russian dude are like wiping the sweat off his forehead?
Hold
That's
on, I have a
Dev.
comment. Hold on. Just wait a second.
The sweat.
Of course he's chewing.
Okay,
Chompy,
okay, Arch.
chompy Dev.
Chewing noises.
Arch, it was my ex-girlfriend who was from China. Actually, thank you very
Oh,
much.
okay.
The
According to
ex-girlfriend who
abducted.
you abducted. Okay, well, thank
My
you for
friend
putting the
again.
record straight.
My current girlfriend is Jewish.
Ah,
Where
it's
did
worse.
you abduct her from then?
You abducted her because
She
she
asked
was
for
Jewish?
payment to get in the burlap sack.
Yeah, no, Dev, I strongly advise you to reconsider. You don't mess with the Jews. They get very aggressive on these things.
There's gonna be 6 Merkavas outside his house. Like, what's your Merkava? You'll see.
They're pretty gay.
They're not gay. They're misunderstood little tanks. APC tanks, I think.
But to be more precise on the point, what do you think about the possibility of abducting someone, Dev, as you are the only person here with experience in taking somebody against their will?
How good are you gonna be at this, Dev?
I mean, probably pretty good. I'm pretty stealthy.
How good's the chloroform? Ooh, maybe we need to make some sort of drug to knock her out. Rape drug.
Might not be a terrible idea.
Discordia has alchemy, right?
She does.
She can
Do we
boil
have a
something up.
lab though?
Just like brew up a squeaky and then just
Yeah, but we
pour
don't
it
have
in
a
a drink.
lab.
We need to
We'll-
find
we'll
a
make
lab.
We'll build a lab. No, we can build a lab in the Warren.
Well, we better
I mean,
build
you
a
could actually
fucking
probably
fence.
afford it at this point. Yes.
That's true.
Yeah, what does that cost, Arch?
Like 600 gold.
All right, write that down, Hands.
Yeah, we need a lab, but then probably.
Write lab
because
for
then-
rape drug.
Because then you can make poisons for me, for my daggers, and you can make potions for yourself. Yeah, we have things to do here.
I mean,
Yes,
Dev
like, you
could
can
just
do
literally
things for
poison
me.
his daggers whenever he wants to with magic, but he refuses to take advantage of that.
I keep forgetting I have the spell, but maybe
No,
we'll need a
you want me to
specialized
make
poison.
actual poisons when you want use your own poisons. I see how it is.
Well, listen, my spell is just added damage. Maybe we'll need like a specific poison for something. So
When it comes to alchemy, it works much like magic. If you want a thing to do something, you tell me, and I go like, "You're trying to cheat," or "That's okay."
Trying to cheat, yes.
1 out of 2, basically.
okay, so can Discordia make a love potion then?
I mean, yes. If you mean Rohypnol, like just knock him out and then rape him, then yes.
No. You know the fantasy love potion.
No,
Ones that
no,
actually
no,
works
no.
and not in the not like, oh, this backfired horribly way.
This is Warhammer Fantasy. It's not that kind of fantasy. He's like, "Damn,
It's not high fantasy enough.
Someone's fantasy.
you're not going to be hammering in the sack if that's what you're thinking when it says Warhammer. He's like, oh, it's hammer time. Terrible.
On the bright side, at least Dev reached for the love potion first instead of the just knock him out potion.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
going
sounds
for
good.
the
Instead of the
proper-
paralysis potion.
See, Dev doesn't. He's not really in a true Skaven form. See, he should have done what I did. You go straight for the rape drug. You're a Skaven. You don't care. This isn't about consent. Dev's like, I don't know how to
Look what the
respond.
Skaven do to their own women.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up,
Yeah.
honestly.
It actually kind of is, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty dark.
Like, I can't really deny Skaven society does not treat their females particularly well.
No, they do not. They are very. They are actually. They are just kind of evil. Like there's there's no way around.
What? The chaotic evil species is evil? No. No.
Well, that's why we're playing the bad guys, because the bad guys are fun. They got cool weapons and they do bad guy stuff. And we can
So-
commit war crimes.
The party wants to capture Ludmilla, frame her organization, keeping her name as clean as possible. Dev is responsible for drugging and raping her.
At least the drugging part.
Yes. We can take turns with the raping part.
Very generous.
Share the load. Oh, my Lord of the Rings references.
It's horrible. Disco needs a lab to make rape drug.
No, that's not what we put down in the notes. Party wants lab for sleepy, squeaky fun time drugs.
To make snuggle struggle drug. It wouldn't be a struggle snuggle if you. No, it would need. We need another terminology. Darn. Right. So your plans surrounding Ludmilla seem to have coalesced quite nicely then, in that you want to use her, eventually hentai mindbreak her.
Yes.
Which
very
is probably
much.
the sickest part of this plan.
Okay, the tags we need are mind break, non-consent, but also love, because, you know, the Stockholm Syndrome kicks in there, so it's a pseudo-romance. You know, fourth tag, plot, because there's actually a little bit of story to it. See? We're getting the tags. This is getting to be a very inclusive hentai. You ready, Arch? You ready for the fan arts? They'll have 2 months to really get
Inclusive.
really detailed with them, too. Oh, boy.
Ibs, you missed ugly bastard.
I didn't want to go into that tag. But Now you're gonna start Archie like NTR, be like, no.
What do you think we are? Or do you think we're good looking?
Listen,
Gnarl
my
thinks Gnarl's good looking.
Karsnicket thinks he's very handsome.
Gnarl
Karsnicket,
cleans his teeth. He brushed his hair. Like, what more do you want?
he puts an eye patch on because you emphasize his sexiness.
And there's nothing necessarily wrong with a little bit of good old NTR.
No, Arch,
Jesus.
no. By the way,
Arch-
Dev, he's super into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I kind of figured it out.
I kind of
Years
figured it
ago.
out. No, Dev, run.
Dev may not be smart, but Dev put that together at least.
Dev,
Dev
no,
gathered too much.
Dev said, "Come here, Dev. It's okay, little guy." Little man.
I didn't mean it like that, Gibbs.
No, I'm
The
comforting.
sanctity of my relationship is very secure. Thank you very much.
This is, you're about to get. She's about
Odd
to
way
get
to phrase
NTR'd.
it. I'm just gonna point that out.
Speaking of NTR, Deb, what are you doing later?
Fuck off.
Literally?
That's what he's like. Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
I would also like to point out that just something all of you may have missed, being already buried deep in the degeneracy here, but most people need to have the abbreviation NTR explained to them. Dev caught
God.
on to that shit right away.
Dev
It's
had
one
to
of
have it
those things
explained.
like
to
you
him.
Yeah.
can hear how it's used. You don't really need to know
Oh,
the
no.
details.
I can't wait till we get to the super chats.
Oh no.
I mean, I am a weeb. It's kind of obvious. I
Is
know
it-
what's going on.
He's looking
I
at
am
hentai.
Like,
aware
don't
of
tell me
the
about what
NTR.
happens in my backyard.
All right, so with Ludmilla more or less hammered down,
No, it's secured. Yes.
the question then becomes Anatoly Camille, doesn't it? How to acquire his cooperation.
Yes. We do need to be very persuasive, which is why I think I'll be spending what XP I have on furthering my charisma. Or is it fellowship? I forget the name of it. I don't have the actual thing.
Fellowship is the stat typically associated with convincing people to do things.
We'll be furthering that because we need to be very persuasive, and we'll be making sure that we have both faith points ready because we absolutely need to convince him, and it has to be a success, but I would very much prefer to be a absolute critical success. Like I want him
No,
to
you can't
absolutely be a
guarantee that.
brainlet. What?
I was saying, sadly, you can't guarantee that.
I mean, you can if you burn a fate point, but like, goddamn, that's gone forever. Like, Arch,
Until you
I
get
want to
another
burn
one.
a fate point. I really want him to be convinced, as if God himself was reaching down and be like, "Yes, do this."
Kyla is willing to make the sacrifice. Well,
Yeah,
there
Kyla-
are ways that you can help your roles, of course.
I would say one thing we absolutely need, if we want to try to convince him without giving up the chest we have ourselves, is the ledger that she found
Ooh.
in the caravan.
Yes, very nice. But we have to acquire that.
Only downside with that is, it's like, see, look, they have 2 of them there because they moved the 3rd one away because we don't want them to know that we have the 3rd one.
They must have already sold it, so time is of the essence. Oh, there we go. You can get a sense of urgency in them too.
Hey, do we know if the ledger shows that our big magic box is missing?
No, that's why I specifically said, because like that'll be the one thing. It's like they already moved one of the boxes away. There's still 2 there though.
Mm.
And the one with the rune fang, the important one, is still there.
Yeah, like the rune fang would be the big. To be fair, we don't actually know what's in our box. There could be something even more awesome than a rune fang in there.
Listen,
Watch is just nothing. Like that was the box that Arch planted for it to be a decoy.
Empty
No, better-
box.
No, better yet, it's just a little note saying, "My appreciations, Carl France." It's like, thanks. Or no, better yet, my undying friendship. It's like, truly worth so much.
Very valuable in its own special way.
Very valuable. Squeak. Much squeakage. I'm liking where this is going. This plan sounds so good, because if one thing goes wrong in this plan, it's like it's gonna be almost
The
impossible
other thing we
to
could potentially
salvage.
do is we could try to get the letter, although to be fair, we don't know how she was informed that the convoy is going to be happening. If we can find that and give that to him, that would basically keep the ledger safe. Which means we should, if we could steal that, then they wouldn't necessarily know what was exactly in the convoy. I mean, the Empire would, but he wouldn't.
The Empire would
Find
send the
her
ledger.
informant.
Yeah, we don't want to expose her informant, because that informant could prove useful later for us.
I know she
Yeah.
got the information from an informant, but I couldn't remember if it was a in-person thing she got it from or a letter she got
When
that
we
from.
saw the ledger, did we see anything in regards that would expose the informant?
No.
No, the ledger was for the convoy. The only thing that I remember her informant told her is that there would be a shipment there of a curious size.
Yes. Because what she was actually out looking for to begin with was just the ledger
guns.
itself.
Yep, she wanted just to get more loot to sell and pawn off. Then she ran into this beautiful rune fang that would absolutely ruin her little plan. But she'll make
It
an
would have been
excellent
really
slave.
fucking funny if we actually stole all three of the big boxes and she just thought it was that. It's like, huh, why are they guarding all this? Oh well.
Oh my
I
God.
got what I wanted.
She wouldn't even
And they'll
have a
come in.
faintest clue. I'm glad we didn't, though. I'm actually glad we didn't, because now she's absolutely fucked.
It's a very cruel thing.
As a Skaven, this is literally what we do. Like, if a bigger fish comes along and it's easier to switch to the bigger fish than Anatoly, then we keep climbing. That's the Skaven way.
You mean to Anatoly?
Like,
Not from.
the path to Skaven success is filled with dead bodies, specifically with knives sticking out of their backs. That is the Skaven way.
Rather low in their backs.
Now, keep in mind, Skaven, if I remember, are on average about as tall as a human. A little bit less.
I don't know.
We could still
The
stab
problem
the
is that
lower
they
back.
keep stooping over all the time.
We do stoop over, so yeah. Arms will be a little lower. We got spine
But-
problems.
Specifically, what is your plan for convincing Anatoly? Beyond rolling high, I guess.
Well,
Oh, rowing low. is what you mean.
crossing all fingers.
I mean, the goal is we're gonna try to talk to him, because again, I think there's gonna be charisma rolls involved no matter what, or fellowship rolls. But the goal is to basically persuade him into believing that, not only will you be a hero of the Empire, but you deserve more. You're such a strong leader, such a wise leader.
Yeah, but
Shouldn't
how
you
are
be
we
in charge
gonna-
of the city?
The question is, how are we going to convince him that we're telling the truth? Like, we could say that they've tried to sell us some of these goods, and we
Yeah.
may even be able to, show some of their pickups to be like, look, here's them doing shady business, especially if we can kind of get her out the way. Because he's not just going to take our word for it. Like, we're going to have to show him some proof of this organization, some proof that they're dealing in stolen goods. And, we could have the excuse of, oh, they tried to sell it to us. That's how we know. And us being upstanding citizens that we are.
Because Carl's initial point is not a bad one. Like you come up with the argument that you want to be using, whether it be something like wanting to preserve the empire or whatever, something stupid like that, and then you want to be coming up with whatever proof or evidence you can get to substantiate that claim, basically. Because that will make it a lot easier. Now, of course, it's still going to be a roll test in many cases, but having a solid story for what you're doing is going to make that much, much easier again.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Evidence, proof, such things, and of course, just you don't even you. How do I put it? All of that is advantageous, but good old-fashioned self-interest is also always a very powerful motivator.
True.
I mean, being the person to help them find this really valuable stuff is in his interest.
Mhm.
Because they're really going to want this stuff back, I assume, from
Mm-hmm.
what we were told. So if
Very
he's the
much so.
guy that goes, hey, I found your box of goodies, like, he's going to get massive head pats. Or he's
Yep.
going to expect massive head pats anyway.
Not just from the Empire, but also from
No, Arch,
KISLEV.
yeah, he said that if he was going to get anything, it would be from the crap, I forget her title.
the Tsarina.
Witch Queen person. Yeah, the Tsarina.
So that very much is his self-interest angle. But we also need to make sure that he doesn't just take the information that we give him and use it and then be like, well, I don't need you guys anymore. Like, we need something probably over him as well that's like, no, you don't screw us over after you've got rewarded.
Something
You-
to tie him to you.
Like, we need that. Otherwise, there's nothing to stop him taking his reward and being like, okay, now piss off.
I mean, simple threats might work in the initials part, but we need something long binding.
Yeah, something to blackmail him with, or like, we need something over him.
Now, position can, of course, be used there as well. You can definitely kind of weave in gain and leverage at the same time here. Like, if you can promise him leadership over the village, that's a big deal. It's a lot of local power. But once he's in that position, a couple of rats being like, it would be a shame if someone learned how you came about this.
Yes. We basically just need to make sure that we have evidence of these transgressions.
Evidence, testimony, the usual.
Eyewitnesses, etc.
I mean, worst case, Dev can try to rummage around through his area, see if he has anything.
Yep. Find the hidden CP stash.
Jesus, Dev.
I knew it.
We just talked about NTR. Like, that shit's holy and good and clean, and then you go like, let's go one step further.
I don't want to hear holy
Just
from
because
you
he's
either.
a minority, Dev, doesn't mean he wants to diddle kids. Okay, that's very cruel of
He's
you.
not a minor, he's minor nobility. Slight
No,
difference.
he's a minority as well. He ticks many boxes.
And I tell you what were you? Ungol heritage, local nobility.
Yep, he's a minority. An ungle. Them poor minorities. Always being suspected of things by Dev.
We should also seek a pact with him. Long-term friends.
Friends.
What can I say? I'm a racist.
Long-term leech
Yeah.
around.
Raddest.
I
Yeah,
can't
right.
wait for somebody to clip that like years later.
What do you mean by years? I've already done it. No, I'm kidding.
Alright, so the thing with Anatoly is going to have to shake out a little bit as you talk to him, it seems like.
That's honestly the issue because we've never interacted with him,
Mhm.
so we don't know how far we can help you become more influential in the area.
You don't know how ambitious he is, or if he
'Cause
is
he could-
ambitious at all.
He could literally just be one of those people who it's like, Empire, cool, and then that's it. He just thinks
That's
the
it.
Empire's cool.
Like,
It's like
yo, my
threads.
bros, like, I love their pantaloons, but you're asking a bit much here. This whole heresy and uprising and stuff.
Or
He's like,
it
"Wait,
could also
no, I
be the
don't like
other
that."
end where he's just like, God, I wish the Empire controlled this area. It's like, yes, we can work with that.
He's secretly an Empire simp. This is good.
I mean, it would be lovely if you just came across a HRE Abu, but he has principles. Like, no, I'd never betray my country.
So it's really a betrayal if
You're not betraying your country.
You
You're
can-
helping the Empire. Your
No,
true
no.
country.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're not betraying your countrymen. Your countrymen are on the other side of the river, wanting access to here.
That is your true
See-
calling.
That's a lovely argument right there. Like, your countrymen want to go to England. We shall make England come to them in France, the shithole country.
Sadness.
But yeah, honestly, that's the biggest issue. He's a massive question mark because we never talked to him before.
Okay. You did also mention, I remember, trying to procure gifts, because, of course, if you don't know anything about him, just simply buttering him up is another alternative as well.
Hmm. That was one thing that we talked about for a while ago.
We'll butter his biscuits, as the saying goes.
We might have more of that love potion.
Oh, that's how we
To be fair,
blackmail
if we're willing to potentially spend some money, we can probably get
That's
like
how we
a.
blackmail him.
Because I remember he had a decent amount of rapiers. So if we just get him like a nice Empire-style rapier or something like that.
Fancy weapons, fancy clothing, stuff like that. You do
We've
have
got
an
more of
awful
the-
lot of silk still lying around.
Yeah,
That's
we've
true.
got a lot of fancy butt wipe.
Fancy toilet paper.
You probably seems the type who would like fancy toilet paper.
Probably.
And if you could somehow get it produced into fancy toilet paper to be worn,
It would increase
I
its
think
value.
Espresso would think that's very strange.
it is very strange. Yet nevertheless,
Why
humans are
would
weird.
why would the humans be wearing toilet paper?
You know, it's like after a certain point, it's like, the humans are not using this for the thing that you said it's used for. I'm wondering if maybe you were wrong in the first place.
Espresso is never wrong.
Uh-huh. Thinks back to when Sprouse was like, my leg, it's gonna fall off. It's like
I had a very, very close call. It's a good job I spent the next week with my leg up. Might have lost it.
Might have.
Yeah.
All right, so Anatoly Camille, gonna have to shake out, look for a bribe potentially. What about the other characters? Are you going to try and just ignore them entirely, or because you've got also the Ataman and his number 2 man in the picture as well? Now you don't know a whole lot about those. The chief Boris Valyenko and his Boyar, which is his second in command.
You mean the two vampires?
Are they vampires too now?
Right. Yeah, remember we had that conversation when you showed us the pictures. We were looking at their eyes like they're vampires, Arch.
We've basically confirmed that Ludmilla isn't a vampire because she went out during the day, right?
Uh-uh. She was probably wearing
Yeah,
special bracers that protect her from sunlight.
she went out during the middle of the day to get the cart stuff
No,
with her
that was
guys.
at night.
Arch, day or night?
Arch doesn't
I remember we set that up at night.
I thought she had come during the day, like a few days later, to pick up all
So
the stuff
you
that we had left
didn't
behind.
Debunk it, Dev.
Which
No,
cart?
no. Okay, you're confusing a couple conversations we had that day. We were talking about burying the shiny chest and coming
Yep.
back a few days later.
Yes.
We ended up not doing that.
Oh yes, no, that part where at the caravan, yes, that was during the day.
But she's
Okay,
wearing
so
a
she
hat.
was actually walking around. She was walking around during the day then.
She's wearing a very big hat.
She did appear to be walking around during the day. This is correct.
No.
And she wasn't wearing some kind of big hat, or she didn't have an umbrella or anything.
Nothing you could see, no. And I mean, you were staring right at her.
Listen,
Did she
magical
have-
bracelets.
Did you have like every part of her skin covered?
No, she wasn't wearing gloves or anything, and she wasn't wearing a hood. She was just wearing a normal everyday garb.
Dev, don't fall for it. It's a trick. He's trying to convince us that she's not a vampire.
She's not a vampire, Kibbs.
No, she's a vampire. She's so pale and pasty.
See, you gotta remember, too, this was drawn by a Serb. He's probably never seen people with skin color that isn't pale and
He's
pasty.
like, women aren't pale and pasty? It's like, oh my god.
That's weird.
In
You
Soybia,
sure?
women stay inside.
In the kitchen. To be fair, not far from actual reality.
That's why they're called Soybia.
I don't know if that's the entire reason, but
Listen, just because Serbia couldn't hold on to its little empire.
that is true. Serbia should be shamed quite frequently for what happened over there in the Balkans,
The
etc.
Austrians were the better stewards of the Balkans, I think. Ooh, that'll sting.
I don't know about that. Like that might
No,
be going one step too far.
This is bait. Shh, 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 shh. The Hungarians and the Austrians together were truly the
Most retarded empire. Yes, I agree.
the
See,
guiding
that's the thing.
force.
I understand the bait part, but what you're saying is too stupid.
The Hungarian people are a proud and noble people.
You need to modulate your idiocy, otherwise the ploy will become too apparent.
Look, Hungarians are adorable. The Austrians, not so much. But Hungarians are like, we want kingdom. And then they, kind of look at them. They're tiny little peanut.
That is true. The Austrians are weird things, and the Hungarians are Hungarian.
They got punished for it. Like, we tiny little peanut now. They're the peanut nation in the Balkans. They kind of look like a peanut.
But nobody ever said that they didn't deserve it.
It's working, Kib, says Luca Freak. See, I told you. See, Balkaneers are so easy to trigger. Like, it doesn't take much.
Balkaneers.
That's what we call them, the Balkanites. Like, Waltoski showed up in chat the other day, and I was literally like, Transylvania belongs to Hungary. And then he launched into a tirade for like 30 minutes. It's hilarious. You get very mad.
Kyle has a proud future as a racial instigator ahead of him.
The pot stirring of the Balkans is remarkably easy.
But what are your plans, if any, for the leaders then?
For the remaining leaders.
Honestly, if our plan works out, we won't necessarily need to deal with either Boris or Peter.
They might simply be transferred, and this guy promoted to the admin rank, basically. Which would remove them from our hair completely.
This sounds like an awfully large if, but you are theoretically correct in that if they were removed by the Tsarina, they would simply leave as they serve at her pleasure.
In which
Now,
case, don't have to deal with them.
might they try to intervene, however, in your nonsense?
See, this is where my plan to make things more complicated would make it easier.
Well,
Okay.
if they try to intervene in our nonsense, I will slip into the village in the middle of the night and kill them when they sleep.
I mean, not a
Jesus,
bad
Jeff.
idea. They just
You
disappear.
monster.
Place Vasily's gun next to them.
The best part is there's a knife in their back and the gun's loaded and not even been fired. But they blame Vasily anyways.
No one will ever know. All right, so those will simply be kind of left as is under the hope that they will not bother you over much. Sounds optimistic to me, but optimism is good and lovely, of course.
I mean, like, the thing is, like, we don't have easy access to them because of the sewer incident.
The sewer incident?
The sewer incident.
The sewer incident.
That damn sewer level.
I blame Kyle. Had to have the
Well.
doggos.
Most people do.
But yeah, if our plan works, then it's like, okay, if they try to intervene, we can do something then.
Cross fingers.
But because, like, what would you guys think we can do if we wanted to try to get rid of them? Like, okay, we would need to basically elevate someone else up, which is what we're doing.
Yep.
All right, so it's a political coup for them then. A political coup. How about the future plans? Saying you pull this off, the Empire is going to come investigating. Hopefully, you will have Camille on your side at that point to point any inconvenient fingers in opposite directions. But, presuming the investigator is more determined, how will you go about that? How far do you want to go? Do you want to try and maybe kill them? Do you want to try and play politics within the Empire? Because you can already be pretty sure that there is actions being taken, and Ludmilla was awaiting a report from Talabheim about this.
The thing is, dead investigators is information on its own.
True.
Which means it's like, one of our investigators died here. Why?
Yeah.
That
would say
could certainly lead to greater scrutiny.
In that regard, I would say misdirection.
That's where Vasily comes in.
Well, the thing is, don't forget there was the crap. I'm forgetting the name of the province. Either way, an undead ship in the area.
There are certainly undead nonsense going about as well.
Which was one of my initial ideas, where it's like we could just redirect it to the undead.
The undead.
The undead.
But then it seemed like most people wanted to go along with this type of plan.
This one has
I
power
mean-
behind it.
I don't know what you mean by just the undead. Because
No,
I
basically-
think there was stuff in there that... Was there not stuff in the caravan that indicated that
Okay,
they
no.
were after the undead anyway? So, like...
Yes, but my idea was basically make it look like the undead were the ones who took it. Because
what,
yes,
the
that would
undead
be
just
very
wandered
tiny.
off their ship and took it?
Because it's
What a
Those are very
handsome
Can they do that?
plan to say. Get out,
like
hands.
those are very important artifacts. So yes, they would want to take them.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's dumb though.
can they? Can they just get off their ship and...
Well,
Take a
it's less
caravan?
important if they can, and more important that we can convince people that they can.
Yeah,
But it
That was
kinda
my
seems
initial
like
idea.
if they were
But
planning on
people-
fighting them, they would already have some idea what they can and can't do. We might just
but that's what I'm saying.
completely make them
my-
look
that's
at
true.
us more if we try and convince them of something that's not possible. That they know is not possible.
That's what I was saying. That was my initial idea, but then people didn't want to go along with it, so we were doing this one.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
Why are you
Okay.
bringing up this plan?
Or it's like, okay, if the investigator comes, like, okay, like, yeah, there's these things happening, but he's like, look, big undead barge over there that's being scary.
But it seems like they already knew about that.
They knew they were going to go to war with them, but a barge being this close.
Yeah, but the people who are sent to investigate, who stole these really important items, probably aren't gonna care that much to be like, all right, well, that's not really for us to investigate. Like, we're supposed to be investigating this.
Well, that's where I was trying to say it's like maybe potentially implicate that the undead like hired someone to do it or something like that. Like I said, doesn't seem like people want to go along with that, so why
Mm,
bother at this point?
I mean, are the undead known for hiring people?
Depends. The vampire counts run an actual full-on, countship. Like they collect taxes and they do all the things that
Yeah,
people normally do.
but when Dev kind of wandered up to it, it didn't much seem like it would be up for, negotiating anything.
Oh, just because of that specific captain, or like, I'm assuming necromancer, was
And
just
Dev
an
didn't
undead
get
ship.
into a conversation with the captain, unfortunately.
Well, I kind of had to run.
He was a
It
coward
did
about it.
seem to be fairly hostile. Yes, I remember ninjas and plate mail.
Cowardly Dev. That's all I remember. Cowardly Devs. We're running away at the first sign of just a little bit of uncomfortableness. Tisky tisky. But such is the life of a dev, who hides from the enemy instead of engaging them bravely in open and correct dialogue. You could have had a new friend that day.
Uh-huh.
In single one-on-one verbal dialogue, yes.
The only honorable way of doing anything, frankly. Alright. As for the plan to continue all of this, how far are you gonna go? Like, what's your goal here beyond the meme of conquering Kislev? Like, what obvious benefits will this bring you? Now, of course, having a person in charge means you have direct control over the village, which is in and of itself potentially very powerful, because you'll then have a say in what goes on, what happens. And that in turn could turn to controlling trade, getting more people, getting more access to goods, resources, all of this stuff. But is this just like empire building at the moment, or do you have more of a firm, like, oh, this is where we want to take this eventually?
This is very much.
Well-
Go ahead, Tim. What is it?
My
Tim?
long-term plan is to get strong enough to go back to that dwarf bastard and kill him at the start of the game.
I'm glad you agree. And thus, that is what we're doing. We are building a new power base, a new empire, as it were. And we are going to rebuild ourselves greater and stronger than ever before. And then we will return to that tower, and that fat piece of shit will fall out of that tower.
Good. Good. No motivations whatsoever about wealth or securing a future for your species. It's about vengeance now, and I entirely approve.
It's a very Skaven
What is
thing
more
to do.
Skaven than basically saying, I know God appointed me on this mission, but revenge?
God
Yep.
will
No,
understand.
I have no objections to this whatsoever. None. Zero zip, nilch, no.
See, we'll build up a nice power base so we get access to Kislevite resources, and who knows, maybe he'll be powerful enough to the point where he can send an expeditionary force that will be a beautiful meat shield for our, Skavens. Or even better, the cancerous and absurd, laughable idea of Skaven fighting alongside men.
That is pretty retarded. That's
That
true.
is. But if we could make that a reality, the meme levels would be beyond. Kislevite warriors fighting side by side with squeaky, sneaky rats. Oh, it's such a terrible... I can't imagine it. Like, I just imagine them fighting immediately. It's interesting. We'll have to see how manipulatable this Vasily guy is. Or not Vasily guy. Anatoly.
Oh, at the end of the game, I want Vasily to be the captain of our guard.
Listen, that's gonna have to be after we capture him, after we break him from
Yep.
torture.
Get more of the love potion.
Oh boy.
All right. I think we have a decent idea of what's on the table then for the immediate future. Anything else you would like to discuss and go over?
I mean, but beyond the short-term plan, like the short-term plan is just to secure Zavastra. Obviously, the long-term plan is the total annexation of KISLEV. It's a long, campaign goal. It will not be done anytime soon, but with enough
It's always good
autism,
to have a 1,000-year plan.
with enough autism, anything's possible. You're a Skaven. You gotta shoot for the moon, and then miss and land beyond it, dead. The vacuum of
No,
space.
you're missing the
No, we
point.
were gonna
Skaven want the moon because the moon is full of warpstone.
That's true.
yeah, we were gonna teleport to the moon, weren't we?
They're just floating belly up in the way. Oh,
The
no.
moon-
Because
be
like
very
technically I can see it. It is in line of sight.
It's like you can see the sun. You don't see me still teleporting myself there either. It's like incinerate.
Soon.
Besides, you have no way of knowing whether or not the sun is hot.
That's true, but considering that every time the sun is out and the sun, its rays of evil, because I don't, the sun is evil to Skaven. Every time it touches our poor innocent fur, it creates a warm sensation. One could possibly come to the conclusion that the sun is warm, if nothing else.
I think you're going to have to roll some intelligence to come to such a leap of logic, frankly.
Feeling the heat from the sun, one
Kyle
might.
rolls a 99. He's like, the sun is cold, please.
I have discovered no
Perfectly
scientific
fine.
basis for my ludicrous
Even
assumption
the
that the sun
ancient
might somehow
Greeks
produce heat.
Had a story about how some Icarus flew too close to the sun and his fucking wings burned off. He's like, "Eep."
You're neither an ancient nor Greek, Kyle. That's the problem.
Listen, this universe is more advanced. Now, granted, we're ignoring the Dark Age and the regression of information, but that is what we call fucking details.
I very much so question this narrative.
Bartman's like, I want him to teleport to the moon and die.
Oh, I'm not saying I don't want that to happen.
See? Murderer. Don't worry.
So it wouldn't be murder, it would be suicide. There's a considerable distance between murder and suicide.
We'll be back, Zephyr, before long, and when we do return, you will learn to respect and feel your own tower. The Great Plummet is what that episode will be called.
Alright. Because if there is no other specific things, then I think we've come up with most of the planning we need.
Most of the heavy lifting, yes. Obviously, it's going to be a great deal of,
Improvisation.
having to
fucking
change
up.
the line. Dice rolls literally fucking us at every possible and conceivable opportunity.
Such minor things aside, yes.
We talk to Anatoly. We start talking. Roll 99. He just squints his eyes. You were the ones who stole the shipment. Pulls that rapier.
Oh no. Guess we're going to have to go to the
No, sweet.
admin.
Technically not entirely wrong. We do have that one crate.
I was like, hang on, I burn fate point. Now what do you think?
Oh no,
It's like-
all the fate point does in that regard is just gets you out of the situation alive. That's
no,
all it does.
not necessarily, actually. You can ask the GM to burn a fate point at the discretion of the GM. And it can give you bullshit results. But you burn it, and it's gone forever.
Burning fate point is often a negative thing, yes.
If we really want Anatoly's love, like, real bad, a couple fate points, and we can have it.
The
couple,
price
you
is
say.
high.
Oh wow, how convenient for the character that has two. Actually, multiple of you have two. I think Disco and you have two.
I think I've decided I'll have my pawns talk for me. And it's like, yeah.
I have decided that ketchup will burn this fate
First,
point.
it's like, let me talk. Let me have you talk to my subordinate, Karsnikit. It's like, you little shit.
It's like, here goes the fate. Oh, on the pyre with you.
Fear not, your sacrifice will be remembered, at least until dinner.
Some may die, but sacrifice I make.
There's never been a Skaven that has not been willing to sacrifice his subordinates for the greater good.
Of himself.
Yeah,
the
the
greater
greater
good, like I said. There's nothing wrong with any of this. All right, because in that case, I think I might just move on with the super chats, and we'll leave this as a slightly shorter episode since it was primarily to be a planning one. Yes, yes.
Before you move on to the
Hey,
super chats,
hey, Arch.
notes, repost
Arch.
them.
Arch.
What is that noise, Dev?
How much XP do we get?
Yeah.
Dev adds
The thing is, we
100
did
XP
talk
anyways.
about it. Like, we didn't really do
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
anything.
He's joking.
He's only
You
half
never know
drunk.
with Dev. Like, he's currently dating a Jewish woman. I wouldn't be surprised if it's being rubbed off on him a little bit. Like,
Bargeman cancelled.
He's
I'm
probably
sad. I'm
half
looking at
drunk.
torture. I suspected this, but it's a fellowship thing. It makes me sad.
Is it
That's
really?
all. Yeah, torture's fellowship.
Is it?
Why?
Fuck, I need to get it then. God damn it.
Well, the
I
thing
guess
is,
you're gonna get it.
again, that's why I was saying related talents menacing, which I get 2 ticks in, so that's a plus 20
Hmm.
when I get both ticks.
sounds good enough.
What is my fellowship? 20. Oh no, 33. Yeah, so it wouldn't be terrible.
It would
Okay.
be great either.
Good.
Now,
Enough.
chat is calling Arch out and saying that there will be a minimum 100 XP a session, is what Arch said. And this was technically a
That's
session.
true.
This wasn't a session. This was just talking over Discord.
Arch is like,
This is a
session. Listen, if we have to load up Fantasy Grounds and you have the server up, it's a
Kyle
session.
didn't even load in though.
I actually-
Yes,
wrong,
that's the
wrong,
thing. Kyle was the one who
wrong,
doomed you here. He didn't even load in.
Wrong, I
Well, no,
did.
see, that's okay. That's okay because you
I
can give
did
all of us
load
100
in.
experience. Just wait. You give all of us 100 experience except for Kyle, and then all the games that Kyle couldn't load in, he loses 100.
I think
Tempting proposition,
Dev
yes.
will find
nevertheless.
himself falling with Zephyr off the tower. Like, wait a minute. And to burn a fate for the Nyamasu to save you.
At the
I'm okay
final
with that.
confrontation, when he is thrown off the tower, Kyle slowly turns to Dev and goes, "Said throw all traitors off tower."
Hey, just out of curiosity, back when it was Kibbs and the mage struggling to be thrown off, how close was he to actually doing it?
Close. Very
Very
close.
close,
Like
multiple
one
times.
degree of success.
we were
Oh,
1
nice.
degree away from winning. From at least
Yeah,
casting him from the tower.
You say that, but the guards were still standing behind you.
That's not the point.
Yes.
1 degree from Zephyr falling to his death.
You could have just burnt a fate on the way down.
We got him. We almost got him. But that's
You'd
okay.
have been off the tower straight after him.
That's
by
fine.
The, like,
I could burn a
10
fate.
guards standing
I'd burn a
behind
fate
you.
and I'd come back up the tower and be like, I'm gonna leave this building. There's nothing you can do to stop me because God's on my side. And they'd be like, fucking
It may
asshole.
have been a short-lived success, but it would nevertheless have theoretically and technically been a success.
Then things would have gone much better. With Zephyr out of the picture, that city would be in absolute chaos. The succession crisis would leave the mini squeakers of that city, which apparently there were many, according to Arch, which he totally didn't retcon that in later, would rise up for rat power.
Well, many, quote unquote. Besides, the reconquering army of Chaos Dwarves coming in from Zavur's competition would probably have put a halt to many of your business strategies in the area. But,
The goal was
oh
never
well.
to keep the city. The goal was to pilfer it.
Pilfer it. Man, you overestimate your carry capacity.
Listen, I don't overestimate my ability to grab a really nice staff. That's
That's
a win
true.
for me. He's like, you're so self-centered. Just like any good rat should be.
Just see him like trying to just drag this staff behind him, like,
I wouldn't
we'll
be trying.
take."
That would be the only step I'd be taking. I'd be like, you know what? This is nice. As I step
Just
over Zephyr's
mine.
pancaked body. Excuse me.
There's all the other guards are still pointing their weapons at him. He's like, this mine. Be on way now. Dragging it behind him.
think they'll
We
be a
are
little
finished here.
preoccupied. But that is that. And we will have that tower. Be a nice tower. It was a nice tower, I'll have you know.
Well, it'll look nice as a trophy, I'm sure, in its own ways.
They can
In
have
its
the
own
city
very
back.
special.
They'll just get to the city and be like, where'd the tower go? We took
It
it.
was the most ridiculous sight we've ever seen. 10,000 rats just came out of the ground and carried it away. It was weird.
In Zabastra, there'll be that same tower erected in the middle of the city.
It's like,
No, just on the
oh.
just on the outskirts. It's like, was that tower there? It's like, yeah, it was always there. Just pushed
In
it
the
up.
forest. It's crooked now. It's leaning.
The Leaning Tower of Zafur. That's what it's called.
They didn't quite manage to set it up right. That would be very Skaven-y. I think this is a worthwhile pursuit. I definitely do. A crazy pursuit, a retarded pursuit, yes, but a worthwhile one.
A very Skaven thing to do.
All right. Oh look, Dev might actually be around for a couple super chats this time around. Look at
Wow.
that. We're early.
I'm sure he won't betray us.
As he waddles up, like, oh, Dev has.
Look.
Look at the time.
Dev, you
It's
whore.
time to go.
No, it's not.
Let me do some of the super chats.
Like,
Then
Dev hungry.
starting with the Streamlabs today. Notices Bolter donates $20, which gives him the privilege of going first because he outbid all the rest of you. That should be a precedent we should set from now on. Greetings, Arch and cohorts. Hope you have a good session today. Well, not much of a session, sadly. I feel like now I have disappointed him. Oh well. I know you kept back from Warhammer 3 stuff, but I'm still curious how you think of how they made Cathay, since the lore on that silly place was fairly limited. Ah, Cathay. See, I'm still wondering whether or not I should buy that game. Like, I really don't want to, but at the same time, I should. But at the same time, it's also pointless, because even if I provide all of the feedback I can, the game isn't going to be a failure. Like, it's just not. It's way too established for that, and it's not going to be a mess. And so I'm just going to get yelled at by lots of Creative Assembly fanboys. It's very much so a lose-lose situation, honestly. But to return to your actual question about Cathay, I'm not a huge fan of them. They are too high fantasy and too creatively bankrupt. Their infantry units are just Chinese troops, wearing Chinese armor, wielding Chinese weaponry. Now, Warhammer has often been ripping off the real world, absolutely, but it's usually been trying to at least add in a little degree of originality to it. Like the Empire, for example, is very HRE Renaissance, a fairly underused setting, but with a lot of administrative magic, like the colleges of magic, for example. Bretonia is a mix of English and French mythology. We have very much so the Knights of the Round Table and Arthur, mixed in with a lot of fleur-de-lis and heavy focus on cavalry, and full-on cavalry in more French-looking garb as well. Whilst these guys are just China with magic bullshit, they've got war golems, something the dwarves haven't been able to use for thousands upon thousands of years. They have flying balloons that fire rockets, and they have artillery, the likes of which the Empire could only dream of. And on top of that, they're ruled over by bloody dragons. It's just so far over the goddamn top. And there's a reason why the original lore of Cathay was very much so basically saying, like, oh, it's a rumor that they are ruled over by a species of dragons. It was very heavily implied that this was obvious bullshit. This was obviously the kind of stuff that an emperor gave himself to sound cooler. Because there's also mentions of multiple emperors, not just one. So obviously they're a dynasty of humans who are like, oh, I'm totally descended from a dragon. That's why you should do what I tell you to goddamn do. Not a fan of them. Not a fan. Maybe I'm just being a cynical old jaded man as well. It's entirely possible.
I mean, they
And
don't
I'm also
look
really
good.
sad that they're not doing Chaos Dwarves. Like, that pisses me off the most. Like, really? You're not going to do Chaos Dwarves? You're going to do Cathay, but not Chaos Dwarves? Eh.
They want to
DLC.
appeal to the Chinese.
Well, yes, that is the actual reason, which annoys me too. Dubs says, "Don't you dare repeat the tower incident. Force Disco and Dev to speak of their plans and opinions before Hans and Kib steamroll the discussion. They have their opportunities to speak as well." Dev has been uncharacteristically silent today in terms of crazy plans, though.
I mean, we chipped in where necessary. Make Kyle do the legwork, though, you know?
Yeah, it seems like most of my crazy plans are physical in nature.
Physical in nature.
Yeah, as
Why
in
you want
we're
the
gonna
love
ride a
potion?
flaming cart down a hill, etc., etc.
He needs-
And
oh,
the love potion.
So his will be during the improvisation phase. I see.
I mean,
Dev will
you'll
ride
need
him.
plans then too.
True.
I'm still a little bit sad you didn't try the riding the flaming cart downhill, because it would have led to a lot of very interesting wound rolls.
Yeah, no, that's why I didn't want to do it.
A wide variety of interesting decapitations, probably.
It would be interesting to see how many dice rolls you'd have to take.
Sadly, Kyle's cowardice ruined the plan. Tragic.
What's that? A Skaven being a coward?
Hi says, "Hello Arch and Co. What tabletop program would you recommend for 3 newbie players and newbie DM? The might finish campaign, and would you get the appropriate books, maps, and whatnot for said campaign? This campaign inspired me to make one with friends." Honestly, for your first attempt, just use Roll20. Honestly, like, it's owned by a bunch of flaming SJWs, and it doesn't have a whole lot of functionality, but it's free and it has all of the basic functions you require. It's got a map system, it's got a bunch of modules that you can pick up, and then literally just use Google for maps. Like, just Google Maps and just steal them. There's nothing wrong with stealing. Alternatively, if you're going to do D&D or Pathfinder or something like that, seriously, just start with one of their pre-made adventure modules, because that will teach you as a DM a lot about the things that you should be doing and thinking about, and all of that will be laid out before you. Like, you'll have all of the encounters, you'll have all of the stats, you'll have all of the dialogue written out and ready for you. Now, of course, then your players are going to do something retarded, and you'll have to start improvising, but that's a part of the learning process. Let's throw Zafur off the tower. I will never forget. Artemis Fowl says, "Late and gay. This day we were actually a few seconds late, and it was Kyle's fault because he did not press the button early enough."
Actually, I did. You were just being a monkey, and you tried to shift blame, as usual. Because it was
Incorrect.
you we were waiting for.
Incorrect. Lies. Filthy. Dirty. Lies. Disassembling. And Kyle noises. Neo River says, "Kibbs versus RP 5-0. Has Kibbs ruined the RP 5 times, though? No. Just once. I am on Kyle's side for once. But does he thank me? No. He just sits there.
The
in quiet,
savior
seething.
Kibbs. Kibbs is who they call in when the RP's going to shit.
To make sure it ends quicker.
Either to
So
put
how
it
do you
down
explain
or
this one
B,
then,
to
Kyle?
save it.
You were here from the start.
Look, Disco, he wanted to bring you along. Like, I had to come in and make sure you didn't do anything too great. You know how those women can be. God damn it, Kibbs.
I'm not the one that tried to push the main character of the fucking tower.
The main character.
Just saying.
Disco, do you know what main character?
Alright, why don't
the
you
main
nitpick
characters?
rather than fucking...
Well, Disco, maybe you should use your words better.
I did use my words.
No, you did. Now you're in trouble. Go to the steps. And don't fall down them this time.
I mean, I can leave.
Go to the steps.
No, I
I'm
think
the
I know,
Why
one
the
I think I know
steps in
what,
particular, though?
I think I know what Kibbs is suggesting. We need Scrousel to basically change career paths into effectively like a step variant of the Cavalier. That's what he
Um, Why don't you change your career path?
Ooh, the
I already have
snark
mine.
levels. Yeah, lay into ketchup. Fuck ketchup. It's
This is the problem. You attack Kyle, he deflects, and then he makes everybody else attack each other.
good. I sit back and enjoy the chaos. I'm like, yes.
He also actively positions himself behind other people, so when he makes the snarky comments, you're more likely to hit other people and then start stuff. And then he's
Ketchup.
like,
He does
"See,
do that.
he's shooting you."
Ketchup,
He does
bitch.
do that. He
Ketchup,
actually does do that.
Yeah, and then when I try to tell people, it's like he doesn't do that, and then he tells them, it's like, yes, I do, and they still fall for it.
They still-
No, I have seen this live at Mech Warrior where he's bitching at poor little Ketchup and he's just sitting behind Fairman, I think.
You know, it's like what was it when we were doing the Halo stream? I would shoot Disco, and then Disco or Bubbles, it would turn around and shoot Hands, and I'm like, Hands is shooting everybody.
No, the thing is, Bubbles knows you do it. That's why he kills you so much.
Yeah, but he still killed you too.
Disco did shoot me a lot in Halo. That's true.
True.
You're assuming it was accidental.
He's like, I enjoy
See,
doing
she admits to it.
it. I do it again in a
I
heartbeat.
think I did at the time as well.
David O'Donovan says you can spend time in the forest hunting animals to get leather, dry it out, and sew leather armor and pointed sticks for everyone, including slaves. It might be more like fur armor. Like leather requires a fairly lengthy process to actually refine into boiled leather, like armor leather. It also includes vast vats of piss, incidentally. That might be a subject for videos in the future, Kyle. How did they make leather? They peed in buckets, large buckets.
They're like, hey Jeff, what should we do to make this skin like tougher? He's like, hold on, I gotta take a piss. Okay.
I am fascinated by how they figured this shit out at some point. Like somebody somewhere realized that pissing on leather made it more durable.
Honestly, I would guesstimate it was probably someone drunk and then did it.
And then he noticed, and suddenly was like, this is a business opportunity.
A very good business opportunity, as it would turn out.
David O'Donovan says, team up with Chaos to take a different city, using a bomb cart barrel to blast the wall gate and charge with Chaos. Run slow, so Chaos runs in front. I'm not sure I would trust Kyle's diplomatic capabilities to engage with Chaos warlords, though.
Listen, it's pretty simple. Be like, yes, kill everyone.
I talked to that one. I always forget the name of their, like, the proper classification. Was it a Gorbel?
Ah, yes. The big bad bull thing. Didn't know what you were.
He's like, I guess
Or
they're
night worshippers we are. Yes, yes. Totally friends of chaos we are.
What a stupid bull he was. He deserves many, many mockings.
he fell for it.
David O'Donovan also gives an excellent strategy idea. 2 lines of 5 slaves tied together. That's the next step. In leather armor and pointed sticks with storm vermin behind them, directing them forward, behind chaos. Or alternatively, if you want to take this one step further, douse them in oil first, and then set them on fire. Yes. That way, they can't run. Insane hippie saying, has the party even bothered to find out which the rune fangs they have yet? If it was Carl Francis, can anyone in the party do anti-scrying magic or something? Actually, that might not be a terrible idea. You are sitting on boxes here, and you haven't tested them for tracking magic yet.
Actually, we did.
We tried to, and then
Yeah,
Kib
we
failed
did.
the first roll.
Yeah, no, we
And I
already
failed
did
my
that.
roll.
Chat did,
So we just basically said, let's just do what Noah did and keep the box shut for now.
yeah, until we
Oh,
can
there you
try
go.
again. We're waiting to be able to try again. Like, chat's
We
not
try
paying
right now,
attention to the
Arch?
game.
This is a new day. Can we try?
We're waiting for the next proper session.
You
If-
might want to write that down, though, Hans, because we may forget again.
Write it down.
But
it
yeah, we did
down.
actually try and do it. Like, we actually did.
Yes.
But no, they haven't figured out which rune fang it is yet. But really,
It's
there's
not
only
Carl
like
Francis.
there's only like 3 options, and one of them is a lot more likely than the other 2. Maranga 2 says, Arch, get Disco to say itty bitty little kitty sitting pretty.
Dinko.
He wandered off. didn't he?
Dinko.
I
No,
hear.
I was moving the cat. What did
There
I
you
need
go.
to say?
Disco needs to say, itty bitty little kitty sitting pretty.
Itty bitty little kitty sitting pretty.
Oh my god, she is retarded. Help me.
No, she tried it there. There was many T's in that. More T's than usual.
Oh, she's such a little Scots woman.
Disco
Yes.
deserves praise.
You're right, Kyle. Well done.
The T's are evasive creatures.
I got drank all the tea.
See, she can say
She pronounces the
tea.
T in T for some reason.
Yeah,
But-
because it's at the start of the word.
Any
There
other
you go.
time, like little bitty.
Look, if it's in the middle, then no. If it's at the start, yeah.
bitty. She's like a big titty. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
titty would have
Titty.
a T at the start.
Manga 2 also says, I also sent Kibbs a pic of where the saga dice, not dick, he'd used. Give him head pass for helping.
Yeah, see, I'm pretty good at doing stuff. Apparently.
Lupu says, Lupu, Boag, you're trying to be sneaky again. 2 months time skip. Will that be enough time for Arts to insert an isekai protagonist as the nemesis of the new campaign? Yes. In fact, I'm entirely certain. It wouldn't even be a problem. Wait, hold on. What the hell? Oh, that's dumb. Oh, that's very dumb. Hold
What?
on, I am having a completely different thing sent to me right now. Live, we have breaking news live on air here, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking
What's the
news.
breaking news? What is it?
What did you
Nothing that would interest you, Dev. Calm down, Drama Vulture.
Like, Warhammer?
Wait, I can't. What?
Dev just suddenly unmutes and swallows the food in his mouth. He's
Kyle,
like, Warhammer?
Please put that up on screen.
Sure thing. Let's take a look. Oh my fucking god.
Right, so Maka from the Outer Circle just sent me a random message asking, like, hey, buddy, what's the Legion numbers of the Ultramarines? I'm like, 13? I was like, obviously. And I was like, are you so sure, he says, as he sends me this. From Forge World, the official Games Workshop site for making specialty miniatures, where they have the Ultramarines listed as the 8th Legion.
Whoops. Time to reprint them all. Fuck, that's a
God
fucked up.
damn
Is that an oops?
That is a very big oops.
That means every model
It's a
they
very big
printed is
oops for people who care about those
wrong.
details. If you don't care, it's like, it's just a number.
I mean, for the prices they're charging, that's not even an accurate excuse. Like, we can't count at GW, but we can count all the lawsuits and DMCAs we've submitted to our fans.
That is so dumb. Like, I hate that so much. Like, because yes, it's a little print mistake. In fact, he's got 13th on the banner poll there, which you can just barely see. I can see an X and 3E, so like 13th. Fair enough. But Games Workshop just does not give a shit about their products anymore. They just do not care, to the point that they don't even know that the Ultramarines, one of their most prolific legions, is the 13th, and it's just the 8th. I hate it. I hate it because it demonstrates again that one of my favorite universes ever is currently run by some absolute asslords that can't tell the difference between the Night Lords and the Ultramarines because they're both blue. Much fucking hatred.
Ugh,
Much.
pain of Barch. Only
Much
get worse
fucking
from here
hatred.
on out. Soon he'll be dead. Ugh.
That just pisses me off. That's just... right. ShadowFox2300 says, if this campaign doesn't work out, you all should try to play a all Witch Hunter campaign. That should be fun to see from you all. Actually, I think this one is working out pretty well. Yes. The only potential problem will be if we have to make a fantasy campaign for Sargon at some point in the future. Since Dev is like, Sargon, come play RP, and Sargon's like, I'm busy. And Dev keeps yelling at him.
Yes.
What's wrong with us, Dev? You don't love us anymore.
We don't have the subscriber counts that Dev's looking for.
It's no. It's because we could definitely use one more person in this party, I think.
No.
Honestly,
know.
4 people for a party is
5
good.
is uncomfortable number. Or is
Already,
correct.
the combat is taking a little bit too long to cycle through, I feel like.
You
The
also
issue is
shouldn't
if there's
just
5
invite people to people's campaigns, Mr. Dev.
Because if there's
I didn't
5
invite
people, then you
anybody.
have to
It's naughty.
balance it for that number of people. Like for the bigger combats you've been having, it takes a while.
Yes, it does.
Combat's already kind of sluggish.
It already takes a while, and even with all of the automation we have, I mean, hell, it took even longer before.
Yeah, see, I don't feel like it's taking that long.
That's because you're busy eating.
That's
Maybe.
true. He's busy not playing
Also,
the game.
Dev, keep in mind that you and I have the simplest characters for combat. It's like I target this person. Oh, I missed. Okay, well, we're good. Next person.
Now, that is one complaint I do have about this system that I liked a lot more about Rogue Trader, because in Rogue Trader, you had the ability to switch between weapons that had, like, different firing modes and stuff. I did like that.
There's an extra layer of depth, which was nice.
This one, it's like you either shoot your bow or gun or whatever, or for the melee, you swing.
And
And then it's like, oh, magic is about as complicated as it really gets.
Or I reload for an entire turn. Like, I'll be reloading this turn.
Jessica, what are you doing right now? She's like, oh, reloading.
We do need to do a full-on Rogue Trader thing at some point as well, but not
See,
just yet.
I still think there has to be a way to get Discordia to be able to reload as a free action, because I don't know if that gun is worth it. if you
It's a
have to
game
like,
balance
skip a
thing though,
turn.
because of the
I mean, if
damage
she
potential
hits
it
with
can
it,
do.
Yeah,
She
but
gets
that's
rid
the
of
thing.
bosses.
In early game, yes, but now everybody's kind of caught up with me damage wise.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing half the
al-
damage with it.
And it's like, I would say this is actually one thing in her favor. If Gnarl hits twice with both his swings, and given the fact he has what is the feat Mighty Blow for his weapon, like he hits like a truck.
Mhm. The benefit of the Jezile is both armor piercing and guaranteed damage. With Disco's setup right now, it's 5 damage from the weapon, then 1 from the dice, and then 1 from Mighty Shot. So she's got a guaranteed baseline of 7 damage.
Which is pretty good.
Hmm. Also, that's right. Chat has reminded me that we've promised them a thirsty sword lesbians RP.
You promised them that. You get to run it, Dev.
Nope.
Go.
We're all in on it.
I don't remember
Yeah.
signing shit.
The amount of times I've asked you, like, Dev, let me come on your stream, and you go like, no, Arch, I don't like
He
you.
does
Hold
that
on,
all
I never
the
say
time.
no.
Yes,
he
you do.
does.
No, I don't.
He comes
You
onto
do.
my streams in the chat, and he'll be like, "Oh hi," and like, "Dev, you want to come in?" And Dev's like, "Fucking," he just says like the N word, and then he leaves.
Yeah, stop.
And
Dev
then he
does this.
leaves.
Dev's like, yeah, we should totally do thing. And then when it comes down to it, Dev's just gone.
He's a boomer.
He's
like,
unavailable. You're like, Dev.
Well, I spend half my time asleep.
the only time
the
Dev
other half
ever
eating.
showed up was when we streamed The Last of Us Part 2.
Hold on, Discordia. I've had you on my channel.
It's true, but
It doesn't count.
it wasn't like a planned thing. It was just like, oh, you're here. Jump in the channel. But I've heard you saying to Kyle, like, yeah, we should definitely do something. And then, like,
We'll
know,
figure it
the
out.
next, like,
I'm
We'll
6
sure
months
we'll
later,
figure
you're like,
it out is a
Guys,
That is the next thing he
Yeah.
says too. We'll figure it out.
That's the dismissal, by the way. That's the
No,
dismissal.
That is
it's
the
not.
dismissal, yes.
That's not the dismissal.
It is.
It's just the fact that I'm terrible with planning.
I have heard Arch say multiple times that he'd love to come on
Maybe that's the
your,
reason Gibbs likes
your
Dev.
I remember
Come
Gibbs is
on.
messaging.
like,
Listen,
planning.
shut up,
Gay.
Ketchup. No one liked you. The thing is,
Now it's being offensive and deflecting again.
oh,
Hit the
I
nail on
can't
the
believe you're
head.
attacking Dev, Ketchup. That's so mean. Dev, are you gonna take
Oh
that?
no, Dev's just sitting there. I'm attacking you.
Shut up,
Yep.
Ketchup.
Yep. Yep.
He's a
yep,
secondary
yep.
target. You're the
No.
primary.
I contacted Dev and I was like, Dev, we have these cool animated icons. I'll make you one for pro bono. I'll have Indio make it and Disco code it in, and when you pop on as a guest, you'll have like a cool animated icon for showing up. And Dev, you know
Yeah,
what
it sounds cool.
you know what Dev says? You know what Dev actually said? Not
I
on
said that sounds
stream.
cool.
You know what he said? Nothing.
There was just no answer to
There
that
was
DM ever.
no
It just
Wait, hold on.
remained empty.
Did I close
and
the window
void.
by then?
Did I close the... You were like, oh, I was in the middle of typing. Like, that sounds neat. Neato Cheeto, as Arch says, you know?
And I just didn't press
it.
the button. I just didn't press enter.
Lost Traitor
It's
Dev.
been the same thing too, like with Gladius. I've tried to get him to play Gladius with me and Sargon. God only knows how many times. Never happened. Never.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Wait,
We're
wasn't he
figuring it
supposed
out.
to be playing
Listen,
Tabletop
listen,
Simulator
okay.
as well? And me and you made
My
like
brain is already
armies.
translating. We'll figure it out. Go fuck yourself, Arch.
And
So,
Dev was just like,
hold on,
no,
hold
I
on.
can't
He
make
laughs,
it
but
work.
he's...
I
the
haven't
laughter's...
tried to launch it yet.
So listen. As soon as I
Let's-
hired somebody to actually like manage
Answer
my
your
emails.
DMs. Yeah, maybe you should
so,
hire
like,
someone to answer
No,
your
hold on.
DMs.
I actually did hire somebody to do a bunch of back end work for me that I haven't done in years, like organization and all that bullshit and scheduling. And he starts going through the emails, the SFO emails, and there's like things that I should have done years ago in there. There's people that like I planned to do a podcast with like 2 years ago and I just forgot to do it.
Oh
I just
my
don't remember any of
God,
this
you
shit.
ghosted people for a podcast. Fuck, like,
Dev,
internet
just
you're a
forget.
terrible
I just
person.
forget how to do it.
You're a terrible
The thing is,
person.
like, I
Christ.
still have all these people in my mind, and it's like, oh yeah, they're cool. I should do something with them someday, and then I just go to sleep.
So what you're saying is we need to get your
You skipped a step. You
new,
eat, then go
like
to sleep.
secretary person's DMs so that we can speak to him and he can whack you across the back of the head when you forget.
Yeah, pretty much.
See, the best part is this conversation sounds jovial, but after this conversation ends, nothing will change.
That's true.
That's not true.
That is true. Don't lie to me.
Are you getting salty, Gibbs?
When I become rich and
He
famous
is.
and bigger than you, I'm going to attack you for these very things. And you'll be like, oh, Kib, please be gentle to little Dev. And I'm like, this is karma.
It's time to cancel Dev.
It is.
That's all I'm saying.
That's why I'm gonna get super big and popular. Specifically to fuck Dev. That's right. Then you can hear a little bit of fear in there. He's like, oh shit. No, maybe I
No,
made too many
I'm
no,
enemies.
actually
I'm
thinking of going to
cancelled.
take a nap.
Oh,
I'm
you're
really
so
tired.
he's so threatened he's gonna have he's just needs to pass out.
He's like, yeah, guys, we'll talk about this when I wake up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll totally
Weeks
continue
later.
this conversation. It's like, oh, you know, Dev, I've got leukemia, I only have 5 weeks to live. Would you like to come on before I die? Oh yeah, I'll totally be there. Dies. The worst part is that's probably what would actually happen. Oh no.
Hold
Like,
on,
right-
someone in the
now.
chat. Someone in the chat says, "God damn, Dev, you forget emails, but remember Sitch and Adams show so easily." Listen, I've only been on that a couple times. I think I've only been on that 3 times or so.
Only 3 times.
Oh, only 3
Yeah.
times.
How many times has he come on to your show, Kyle?
Once, and that was only because pure providence. God himself allowed that to happen.
All right, Kibbs, the next time you actually play a good game, I'll join you, okay?
What is a good game in your book, you old boomer? He's like, I played the Super Nintendo. It's like, Christ.
Dev, didn't
Hold on,
I
hold
see you? Wait. Dev, did I not see you playing Last of Us the other day? Don't give me
Oh,
good
the
game.
good game.
Wait, last time, so that was like a year ago. That was like
Oh,
a year
not
ago,
Last
but
of Us.
yes.
What's that one called?
Life is
the one
Tumblr. right?
Yes, that one.
Oh yeah,
I
that.
saw
Yeah,
you
see,
playing that.
listen, listen.
I saw
We
you
play
playing that.
Life is Tumblr
I
because it's
play good
hilarious.
games. Mhm.
It's really funny. That's why we
It's
play
a
it.
good. I only show up for good games. Good games. Life is Tumblr in the background.
Kibbs, do you not like Super Nintendo, Kibbs?
I don't not like it, but I grew up with those things because I
All right.
inherited those consoles. But I was born in '94. These things existed before my existence.
You
Kibbs is a
fucking
bad
child.
one.
Kibbs, do you even know what 2D is?
Yes.
Mhm.
Like I said, I grew up with a Super Nintendo and a Genesis because my parents had them, but they also had Sega Saturn. You know, they had the fucking PS2 and Xbox original. So I was like, wow, the Super Nintendo's for the pixel games, and then the other ones are for the 3D games. My concept of video game evolution was very skewed back then.
Yeah.
Dev being a traitor aside, and the fact that no one will ever have a stream with Dev,
That's
Sure.
not
More
true.
super
It's
chat.
true.
David O'Donovan
Okay,
says,
Hold on.
Oh, he's
Actually,
gonna
I'm
do
gonna
it.
go to sleep.
Treason!
Yeah.
Traitor!
see?
He's like, we'll have this conversation again later, guys.
It's earlier every week.
Yep.
You
know
know,
what?
it's
You know what?
earlier every
You know-
week.
Here, I will return to have this conversation when Kibbs is back from his vacation.
Vacation, I'm still gonna be vacation, I'll be working. Working the whole thing. This
Shameful
is a
display.
vacation. This is work. I wish it was.
Oh.
That
We'll
already
see
weasel
you
out.
later, Dev.
See ya. Have fun, guys.
Goodbye, Deb. I'll remember
Bye,
this.
traitor.
All right, now make fun of him. Now's our chance.
But David O'Donovan says, the Horned Rat said you were against the Empire, so taking an Empire city with no chaos cannon for the survivors would be a good distraction and loot. That is true. The Horned Rat did give you the order to start preparing to invade the Empire with all of your, 30 followers. So that'll be a
Listen.
long-term goal.
Horned Rat needs to put a pin in it. We've changed our mind, and we're gonna help Carl France take over the world. And he's like, "What? It's not."
And then
We just-
will
we just
undermine
gotta-
it. You see.
We're just gonna call France like, okay, look, we're gonna have a big ask. We need to get us like hooked up with Sigmar because I don't think where we're going we're gonna be liked.
Listen. Hans and I had this conversation. We help the Empire take over the world because they'll have no enemies. What happens to an empire with no enemies and external pressure? It becomes bloated and corrupt. It'll become a bureaucratic nightmare. Then we overtake it. Long game here.
A very long game.
You don't need to be like a like the world government to become bloated and corrupt.
Yeah, but that's what we're gonna do. The Empire's gonna be the one world government that's gonna be bloated and corrupt, and it's not gonna work. Be great.
I'm saying you don't even need to get to that size to become what we need.
Little Carl doesn't realize what's in store for him.
To be fair, we could still, assuming this works in like long-term bullshit, we could still probably try to organize some sort of beef between the Empire and Kislev.
I still like the idea that Empire annexes KISLEV because it's just funny.
Oh, because if they basically waste resources on each other, then that means, well, they're not going to have resources for the Vermintide.
Oh my god. We'll be leading the Vermintide. Now I think you're getting ahead of yourself. See, taking over KISLEV.
Leading? No, just
Easy.
be a part of it.
The Vermintide, you say. The end times. The Arch is going to have it end the same way the end times did. It's going to be super cringe. The planet's going to explode. And then Sigmar's going to be floating through space like, whoa, radical
The
space
Everchosen's going to be
Reagan."
kicked in the nuts.
Fucking,
That actually happened. That's part of the canon. The Everchosen's invasion of the civilized world was stopped by an orc kicking him in the balls.
Von Karstein's going to stab Balthasar Gelt in the back because he's like, Lamau, I'm retarded.
Literally, that's probably that's the only way that like the end times could have been stopped. When someone just going, Lamau,
Like
this is
Balthasar
funny.
Gelt's like, we need to stop this from happening. And Karstein's like, yes, that sounds reasonable. And then the writer's like, actually, Karstein, you're retarded. All of a sudden, he's like, oh, I'm retarded now.
Do it for the meme, vampire lad.
He's like, okie dokie, stabby backy. And then Balthasar's like, why?
Barbarians are us, says, remember that, I'm presuming, no matter how convoluted the brain dyslexia becoming worse.
Come on.
Remember that no matter how convoluted the mad plan will be, always make sure to drown your enemies in rat bodies. Fire up the breeding pits. My YouTube career is doing nothing for my dyslexia, I tell you.
Excuses, and I say that as someone with dyslexia.
Black 1917 says, Quick and Hail Arch Christ, our fluffy Lord and Saviour. Breed Kibbs. Also, hi Hans, hi Dev, hi Disco. How is Kitty?
Hello.
Well, Kitty has been removed from the room because he was being a naughty boy, but there are kitty noises earlier in the stream.
Dead Kitty. Black 1917 also says, Rat Power. And Lord of the Caves asks, what is NTR? I'm glad you asked.
Oh,
Bait, because he knows it. He knows
He
the
probably
answer.
does. NTR stands for Nutrient Limited Trade Company.
Where's the
Limited
L come
liability.
from?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Limited liability company.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
somewhere. Oh.
They're up 0.14%, which isn't that bad. We do need to have a lore video at NTR at some point. 13's Seer, all hail Arch, time to leave a donation only to feck off and watch the VOD later. This is good. This is in fact why I am considering becoming V and just making every single video a premiere. So that you'll see the video, then you'll click on it like, oh my god, I'm excited to watch this. And you'll just hear that retarded waiting noise in the background and see a huge clock slowly counting down from like 12 hours.
Premieres are evil, because you can't watch the video in ×2 speed.
Yeah, that too.
It's true.
All of them. All of them will be premieres. Every last single solitary one.
You should have made the pencil one a premiere so that they couldn't watch that in ×2 speed. They gotta watch it.
They'd be like, what slowly shoves pencil down dick and like, oh.
Little graphite never hurt no one.
Snaps off at the end. Like,
There are some things that should not be watched at 2x team. Teams.
At 2x team,
times
you're right.
speed.
I agree.
Yes.
You should have watched things at 2x team.
Like the latest Archcast, for example. The last, 30 minutes of that should not be watched at 2x speed, because I don't want to know what nyoth sounds like at 2x speed.
yeah. Oh god, Neoth. Help me.
Nyoth.
Confused.
It's
You
a name.
should be.
It's a name of a character.
No, it's not.
Some
that.
writer
It's
I
basically
am
said
not
that's
that.
the name of the emperor.
It's the name of the Emperor and Arch's favorite setting book Arch. And he really loves
Nyoth.
the fact that his name is Neoth.
Yarth, yarth.
Neoth.
I am
They-
confused.
I need once we got our certain secret plan that includes a little bit of animations up and running. There will have to be an episode of that where everyone is just really serious, and then they just start addressing the Empress. Nyoth,
Neoth.
nyoth. Oh god, I hate that name so much. I hate it almost as much as I had the Ultramarines of the 8th Legion.
Oh god, are you sure you don't hate it more?
It's close.
Do you think the emperor requires people to wear cat ears when he says his name, or when they say his name?
He's a fucking full-blown degen. Like he has drawn-on whiskers on his face. He's
Like, I demand, my lord emperor. No, you will call me by my chosen name. No,
I'm-
please.
no,
Still
please, Emperor Niet. Got this whinge to it. His Grand Royalness Niet is here to speak with you.
Little did you know, the emperor's favorite people in all of the Imperium are the Felonids. Little did you know.
We need to make a skit. All of these things we need to make at some point, which I'll probably forget about, is just a battle
No.
scene, right? Where there's a warrior of chaos looking all serious, charging for Karn, and the Ultramarine goes up and for Nyoth, and the chaos warrior just stops in his step, what?
He cringes, but then that's how the this Ultramarine kills him. 'Cause he's too busy.
No. It ends in a conversation, and then at the end of it, the chaos warrior just falls to his knees,
He commits
crying like,
suicide.
"Please take this seriously."
He commits suicide. It's like, I choose not to be in this reality anymore.
I choose to return to the warp. I choose to
Wanna go home tonight?
You can have the mortal realms.
Yes. Awful.
You know what's the best
So
part?
Jod sails himself down the river and gets himself permanently listed on Discord's blacklist by asking, will Disco want to have her impregnation fetish tested with breeding experiments with her character and Ludmilla?
Disco. Impreg fetish.
What?
What?
That's
She's
new.
like, look at her denied, like, what are you talking about? She's like, that son of a bitch.
It's
Banned.
more
So,
like
no,
it's
to be
more
fair,
like
this is the
we
first
do.
time I've heard of this part of Disco.
Disco,
It's
I've
very
never
good
known
we do.
this. Disco, how could you? Hans, tell me why you made this up about Disco.
It seems more
Well, I
like
made it up.
I'm pretty sure it was Dev that wanted to do this. Are you sure you haven't typed the wrong name in?
Impreg fetish. Impreg fetish. I mean,
Impreg fetish.
of all the fetishes to have, that's the most natural one, so I guess it's not the worst thing ever.
It's a very wholesome fetish.
It's like you want to have children, okay.
Oh, something is getting filled, yes.
Like, I would like to commit to a long-term relationship with you and children. Or, well, that's the optimistic interpretation. The basketball American interpretation would be like, ha ha, sucker, leave.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Surprise. Just leaves. Oh, that's cruel. Kyle, how dare you? You racist scum.
Not
Look,
leaving him with
I'll be right
presents.
back. I'm gonna go to get some smokes.
Cigarettes.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hey, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna get some tobacco.
Where's Daddy? Daddy's out still getting smokes. Ooh.
12 years later, where did Daddy go? He left to buy cigarettes. 12 years ago.
That is when that child declares war on cigarettes.
That's why there was the big movement against cigarettes. Not because they're bad for you, but because, oh, that's actually really sad.
I remember this sad story about this, though, where they did the whole, like, daddy went out to get cigarettes and the child was raised to basically hate his father for betraying them. And it turns out he got hit by, like, a car or something and lost all of his memories. That was funny. I enjoyed that.
That was funny.
It's a good story, yo.
Daddy, why did you leave me? I don't even know who you are.
What the fuck are you? Black 1917 says, tags, mindbreak, torture, furry on female, story arc, slave. Actually, allow me to interject here. Being a connoisseur of all things hentai, I am capable of informing you that the tag is not furry on female, it's feral on female.
It's sad that I know you. It's like, yeah, no, that's probably accurate if you go to the sites.
Yep. It's a correct.
Also, if we're being completely honest, probably bondage.
Probably. A little bit of BDSM in there. Though story arc, most of the sites I frequent don't have story arc as an option. I should look that up sometime. I feel like I will be met with wall o mucho texto and very cringe-o texto.
Plot in quotes.
Plot. Maybe it'll be like one of those 1970s romance movies the Whammonses used to like. Black 1917 says, Black 1917 has acquired Wendy's Dave's triple only meat, cheese, ketchup, and mustard, big bacon cheddar cheeseburger, and only meat, cheese, and ketchup, and large fries.
That is a
Only-
mouthful.
I'm hungry.
Only meat cheeseburger. I see a problem here. Because if you're only meat, I don't think they put cheese on your cheeseburger.
Where's your bun? She's like, just hold the greasy
true as
meat.
well.
Like, oh, she.
Though I do agree, right? No, just give me the fucking meat, okay? Give me the meat, give me the sauce if you got a special, like, kawaii little burger sauce, and the cheese. Screw all of that other nonsense.
Yes.
Would you like
Yes.
these little cucumbers we put in a stinking liquid for 12
Yeah.
years? No.
I
Listen,
actually agree with Archie. Do you know what? When I went to the US and I'm like, I want a cheeseburger and I want it plain, and they just looked at me like I was talking a different language, and I'm like, I want a cheeseburger. Take the rest of the crap and put it somewhere else.
where Put it back on the burger. Now the disco.
Somebody else can have my fucking rabbit food.
These
Thank you very much.
savages don't
put the stuff back on the burger.
See, you gotta at least put onion on burger. Onion is great on
no.
burger.
No.
Nice onion is fine
Onions.
on burgers.
No,
Yes.
onion will make me ill.
Onions, mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
I mean,
No
I
I
will
to
can
have
all
the
of them.
mushrooms, but not in the burger.
Honestly, I have a very diverse food palate. I could go through the list of things I'm okay with on a burger. And no, it's not going to be bananas. God damn.
I mean, the person who said bacon, I could allow you to put bacon on the burger.
See,
It's gotta be
I'm very
crunchy.
puritanical in this too. Bacon should be devoured by itself, usually with eggs
You're one of
or
those
some
people
other
who,
like
if
bread.
food touches each
He
other,
is.
you have to throw the plate away.
Yes. Like I had this conversation. I'm like, Arch, what do you like your steak like? He's like, dry. Like, well
He's
done
like,
to the point where it's dry.
I like my steak
No,
to
no,
be
no, no, no.
alone.
Disco. It's even worse. It's quarantined.
Like, and
No,
if
no,
his
no, no.
steak touches his potato,
Steak needs to be with pepper sauce, and then French fries. But I might see my father is the one who's taught me to avoid all of this because he's the kind of person who will pour sauce on literally everything. Like he will
Based.
have greenery on his, and he'll just put sauce on it. I have seen that man eat
Oh.
sauce on his bread, like
What?
just bread with sauce on it.
Yeah, my dad used to have salad cream sandwiches. But he would do one better because he would have like mince and ties, which is like, mince in gravy with mashed potatoes. And then he would get the ketchup and he would put that all over it. And then he would mix it in so it was this weird reddish brown color. And you're like, what are you doing?
Awful.
What
And
did
he's
you
just like, and he just looks at you and it's like, dinner.
And then he just gets a big spoon. Just fucking eats it. You're like,
It's actually disgusting. Right. Black in
Yeah,
1917 also
right.
says, I also have a 15.2 ounce bag of Lindor white chocolate truffles. That's not bad. That's not bad. White chocolate is delicious, but only in smaller quantities. Can't have too much white chocolate. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Mute Gamer says, now that the first season is over, we must decide once and for all who is the thankful of this group of Skaven. That's Kyle, of course. His plans have not worked out literally once.
yeah.
Meanwhile, Dev is the brains of this operation.
There's a starkingly good comparison between Thankful and Karsnicket. They're about just as successful.
Minus, the rat ogre.
Yeah, I don't have Bone Ripper. Gnarl's as good as it gets. Loyal
Mango-
servant.
Mango, all he wanted was a hell pit abomination, but alas, he's dead and rotting.
He's just sleeping somewhere.
Probably bones by now, honestly. If that.
David O'Donovan, Vampire Lady can claim she interviewed dying survivors of the city destroyed by Chaos Warpants, with boxes from the caravan raided inside the city. Oh. You don't even need to throw her or her organization under the bus. You just need to throw the city under the bus.
Sounds like we still have to move.
Well, yes, but details. Black 1917 says, oh, YouTube, don't do this to me.
Do it to him. Fuck him. Fuck him up.
That's a funny thing for him to say.
Oh, great keeper of kitty noises. Please bless us with our king's voice.
You heard them earlier.
Yeah, that's right. Fuck you, Black. He's like, "Ee."
Rewind the stream, you will hear the kitty noises.
Petiplant the Missionary says, make sure to sound Sufor first. I dislike the fact that my chat now knows what sounding is.
You
We'll
taught them what sounding
We
is.
will sound him and then cast him from the tower once he's been thoroughly sounded. For
And
research.
then cast him said,
Like, you have been
Ah.
sounded. He's like, please cast me from the tower now. I'm ready to
See,
die.
I'm glad that most of the people in the comments were just like, it's funny, but horrified. But then there were a few people who were just like, Let me give you more information.
They're like, actually, it does hurt really bad when you pee. And I'm like, whoa, how did you learn that? And it's like,
Or actually, not that bad.
feels pretty good, bruh. It strengthened
you
our
made it worse.
relationship with my girlfriend. She's really into it. She's like, yeah, I really like shoving hard objects down there. Oh boy, this is an abusive relationship.
Let's see here. We'll send this to Disco because she'll totally approve of it. There we go.
Urethral sex toys for beginners.
Research material for next time. Yes.
I doubt it. But maybe not.
Huh.
Black 1917 says, you don't know that the sun is hot. You do, however, know that the sun is very far away. Far enough that anyone sent there will cease to be a problem. Not a good reason to teleport to Kyle. David O'Donovan, have a battle between Chaos and the Empire. The only vampire lady and the Skaven survive with caravan loot planted on dead Chaos people. You would still have to get that Chaos Warband pretty deep into KISLEV territory, though.
Basically on the border with Ostermark. Or not Ostermark, Ostlund.
Lord of the Gate asks Dev how much for cheek pics. I'm going to send that to him because it'll confuse him, and I enjoy that.
Best you're able to do for Chaos is try to encourage that stupid Beastman tribe to attack, but that's still dumb.
Still dumb. David O'Donovan, Vampire Lady and Skaven can then lead an Empire army on an investigation that leads them eventually to take Savu's city. That would be a roundabout goddamn investigation.
Ah, yes. Make them KISLEV's problem.
I am very disappointed that there's no super stickers with pencils, otherwise I could really make a killing out of this, but no, just regular pencils in chat. Expand or die.
You need to make like a members emoji with like a special pencil.
Special pencil.
All the pencil says is just expand your horizons.
This truly is awful.
A mechanical pencil.
True.
All right. I'm just going to send all of these things to Dev as Lord of Gaze keeps asking him questions about his sexuality. Okay. Lord of the Gaze asks Dev, what is your fetish? I have sent it to Dev. Lord of the Gaze also says, Dev, how do you feel about the dark skins? Again, he has been sent this. You may be informed of his answers at some point via psychic emission. Lord of the Games then says, hot take, the Teletubbies could wreck the Primaris Marines. The Teletubbies have the ability to talk to the goddamn sun. Their powers are beyond our understanding. And asked whether, is this RP a part of the Warhammer's fantasy RP? No. Do you know why? Because we're not stupid. Despite Kyle's best efforts to make it look that way.
But actually, low-key big brain. Like, big brain. Got him.
Now, I highly do recommend that everyone go watches the Teletubbies RP, which would have been a real hilarious form of role-playing game.
Teletubbies RP.
Yeah.
I can just see it right now. Arch just looks at Kibbs and says, convince the sun to give you light.
If you cannot convince it, you will die. Like, oh my god.
The long winter will begin, and it will not end until you convince the sun to rise. The enemies will be that creepy-looking fucking vacuum cleaner that they had. The vacuum cleaner that constantly looks like he's considering sucking off the Teletubbies.
God damn it.
Kyle, here you go. Like, just look at the direction in which it is pointing its nozzle.
That looks terrible.
It does. That is still my favorite character of that show, because you can see it in his eyes. He has not just seen some shit, he is continuously thinking about some shit.
He is. Sick bastard.
Sick bastard. Insane hippie sane says a disco get a minion train for fast reload and a couple more guns so you can fire every turn. Just hands them back to the minion. Reload. I mean, it would be impossible.
I don't think Mayo could handle that.
Mayo
don't-
probably not. No, he would probably just spaz out at the weapon and then bite the barrel.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a good idea to give one of these slaves my gun. They might, get funny ideas.
A Dark Innovator says, hey Arch, have you heard of the YouTuber Old Man Reacts? He's done some interesting lore videos on the mistakes of the Emperor and his reasons. I have not, and I won't either, because at some point in the next 7 years, I will have to finish up my own video on why the Emperor did absolutely nothing wrong. But I'm currently in limbo where half of me really doesn't want to read the rest of the Horus Heresy. Because it's bad. And the other half of me is like, I kind of need to do it, though. Kyle, read them all for me.
Hell no. Hell
And
no.
transfer the memory of them into my brain bank.
Yeah, but then you'll just be just as scarred as if you had read them anyways. You might as well read them.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have wasted a lot of time.
Oh, you'll be wasting time, whether you like it or not. Urda is awaiting you.
And finally, Pettyplanter Missionary says, have a slave sound Zephyr while he's falling off the tower. Yes, yes. I don't know if the slave would be concentrating on his task during the free fall, frankly. He did something wrong. He relied on that Whammon Erda. I mean, that is a point. See, there also needs to be a video where it's like, at what point is the Emperor no longer the Emperor? Like, that... I actually do need to do that as a gatekeeping video. Like, when is a character no longer that character anymore? Because we've seen this happen throughout fiction quite a bit. Like, Luke Skywalker is the perfect example of this. At what point did Luke stop being Luke? And it's the moment he decided to throw the goddamn lightsaber over the edge of the cliff. Anything beyond that point has nothing to do with Luke Skywalker. Lord of the Game sneaks in one last super chat asking, lore video on the Teletubbies when? There will be no lore videos on the Teletubbies, but there might be one on that creepy looking goddamn lawnmower thing. Lawnmower? Not lawnmower. Vacuum cleaner. That was the word, yes. Vacuum cleaner. Because it's adorable. And it looks like it has some ideas about what to do with the Teletubbies, frankly.
I mean, adorable is a word.
That fits well.
Not one I would give to that thing, but it's a word.
It looks friendly. It totally looks like the kind of thing you would leave alone with your children.
No.
But she had to think about it. That's all the opening it needs. Oh God, Teletubbies. Let's just close that window. Yes, much better. Right. We'll wrap up this semi-episode right there. So thank you all very much for watching. We will be resuming the first weekend of January after the holidays. So make sure you're back by then. And until then, you can watch the Archcast, where you can see Kyle make sounds such as "nyoth."
Along with Arch, too, mind you.
I never made that noise.
No, I think you just did.
I don't think so. I don't think you have any evidence of that. So, until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.